All right, the only thing I see impacting the interstates is this crash reported by police over here on the East Loop. It's going westbound right after the Spring Street Ellington Parkway exit 47A. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk at 99.7 WTN.
All right, kids, here we are. Here we go. Another day, another week on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Monday. It is March 10. It's 2025. It is our episode 766 of our gatherings together, and I appreciate every single one of those. Hope you're able to spend the majority of this one with us. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. 5 minutes of the full 4 hours. We're on a variety of platforms, as I like to talk about at the beginning of the show, to include the radio dial, of course, 100,000 watts of blowtorch FM power from Alabama to Kentucky and all points in between.
That's old school,
baby. That is old school, baby. I mean, that thing's just belching fire wherever the hell the tower. Where is the tower? Hendersonville? I don't know. Is that right?
Yes.
I feel like that's right. I feel like I've had to use the actual, every once an hour or whenever the FCC tells us, we have to say that we are WWTN, Nashville, Hendersonville.
Yes.
There's the voice of Ken Weaver behind the glass. How was your weekend, Ken Weaver?
It was great.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yesterday, went out and got a little bit of sun.
Did it get dark a little bit later?
It did. Yeah. I liked that part, too. Now that I'm not waking up at stupid o'clock every morning, I freaking love the time change. However, I want it to stay just like it is right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would love it. I mean, hell, Robert F. Kennedy, none other than our own Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., said as much. Said this ought to be the last time change. I did an informal poll on my little X Machine page, and believe it or not, it's pulling up. I know that we were having trouble with that earlier.
Oh, yeah, big cyber attacks.
Yeah, apparently so. We'll talk about Elon Musk fending off the cyber attacks. They're attacking his Teslas. You know, liberals are so tolerant of other people's points of view, aren't they? Aren't they nice? Aren't liberals good people? I mean, they're so wonderful. They're so tolerant. That it is now perfectly okay for you to drive your Tesla Cybertruck in any liberal city that you want. Don't worry about it. They won't attack it.
No.
They'll want to.
Sounds slightly facetious there.
Oh, well, yeah. Believe it or not. Hey, there's the voice of Mason Fleming. In the absence of Chris Webber, Mason is controlling the experience, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Hello, Mason.
Hey, Murphy. How you doing?
This is second shift for you, huh?
Yeah.
Did you get any sleep?
No.
No?
Not at all.
What'd you do during the break?
Went and got some food, took care of some chores.
What kind of food did you get?
Went to good old Sonic.
Sonic.
Oh,
Sonic.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong there.
Oh, my goodness.
They got those new smash burgers over there.
You can't go wrong with Sonic, especially if you want a heart attack by the age of 48. But anyway.
Hey, that's what I'm aiming for.
So, good for you. Did you get some tots?
Yeah.
Man, golly, I love the tots.
Tots are the only good option.
I will. See, I lash out. You saw what I did, Ken. I lashed out at Mason because I talk about heart attacks because I'm jealous.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Right, that's where it came from.
That's what I do.
It's my little cheat for the week.
I get a little jelly and I lash out, and I wouldn't wish a heart attack on you.
On me.
But I'm glad. I love those. It's footlong conies,
bro.
With some chili on there, some cheese on there.
I get notifications
onion
about their deals that they have on Wednesdays, where they're buy one get one for $1.
What?
Whoa!
What?
For $1?
Are you going to be here on Wednesday?
Yeah, I am here on Wednesday.
Okay, I'll send you out. We'll get Bell in there. We'll send you out.
I'm here for it.
And I'm not allowed to do that anymore, but I'll still do it. No, I'll still do it. I got in trouble.
$1 footlong.
Isn't that nuts?
Ken, I would send Mason out, but I got in trouble one time with the news director for sending the newsman out.
Yeah, that mean old news director.
For those who don't know, I didn't know that Mac Maury wasn't on our driving plan. I didn't realize that. That's apparently what happened. Is that I quote unquote told him to drive for the company, and I got in trouble for that. But that's okay. That's all right. You know what? We got Whataburger, so what do I care? I mean, ask forgiveness, not permission. Well, we might do that Wednesday. We might have some conies.
We'll see what happens.
I mean,
man,
why
not?
We? Yeah.
Why not?
Anyway, we've got lots to get into. Mason's going to screen your telephone calls and, generally speaking, thrill us with pithy comments over the course of the day. Ken Weaver always thrills us with breaking news headlines, and we appreciate him as well. Lots to get into, obviously, today. As there normally is, there's action out of Washington, D.C. There's a lot of concern about the nation's economy as you're watching the stock market reflect on tariff threats over the course of the first 50 or so days of the Trump administration. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down currently 890 points. 890 points represents roughly 2% of the market. So that is not insignificant. It is also not something that we necessarily should. I mean, it's the worst day since December, putting it into perspective. So it's not as if this is the worst day since, 1989, Black Monday, Black Friday, Black Thursday, whatever it is. We expect that the Dow Jones Industrial Average will bounce back. And obviously, it's 40,000 points or 40,000 plus points. So the other indices are also in the negative. Some of this has to do with Donald Trump not ruling out the possibility of inflation, or rather not inflation, but recession over the weekend, saying that he doesn't like to use the term, but he understands that during this transition, that there might be some negative impact on the normal economic cycle. Here's the reality, folks, and I think most of us understand this. You are the smartest listening audience on planet Earth. I think you fully get it. You fully understand this, that when you remove so many of these government sectors from the nation's economy, when you remove that infusion of economic activity, which is phony economic activity, which is not real. It's fake money infused into the real free market. When you remove that, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some transition. When you talk about tariffs on goods and services, there will be a negative reaction, particularly in the stock sector. I don't pretend to be a stock market expert because I am not a stock market expert. If I wanted a stock market expert, I would get someone like Paul Winkler on the show, and he could explain all of this to us. But I know this, that when you have been propping up a national economy with government money, when you remove that government money, which is fake and phony baloney, you're going to see a short-term negative consequence in the nation's economy. We need this short-term negativity for the long-term benefit of shrinking the size of government so that we can protect the greatest country on God's green earth. Liberals have no interest in it. Liberals want to party until the party is done. They want to party until the keg is dry, and then they're going to wander on home. And we will discuss on the show throughout the course of the day. I mentioned this poll that I put up on my X Machine page. You can find me, if X is up and running, at Matt Murphy Show. That's at Matt Murphy Show. We are approaching 17,500 followers. Although I always lose them on Sunday. I think Sunday's when the X Machine gets purged of its phony.
Oh, the bots?
Yeah, I think it gets purged on Sundays of the bots because I watch, the number of followers I've built over the course of the week.
Right.
And then I'll always lose 20 or 25 of them on Sunday. And I think that's the bot purge, Ken.
The big bot purge.
The big bot purge. But here's the results, Ken. I want you to guess if you've not looked.
Okay.
I wrote, almost everyone agrees we need to stop changing the clocks twice a year. Trouble is, we're split on which time is best. What you got? Standard time, daylight saving time, or get off my lawn? On my polls, Ken, I always include the get off my lawn option. And I will tell you, get off my lawn got 21% of this particular poll.
21%.
21% of the people polled want me to get off their lawn and move along. But of daylight saving time or standard time, which do you believe got the most?
Daylight.
Daylight saving time got the most. It was surprising, though, only 49.9% 29.1% of the respondents said they wanted to keep it on standard time. And I was a little surprised that it was that much. And therein lies the rub, folks, because mamas with kids at the bus stop don't like the idea of those kids being at the bus stop in the dark.
They do not. They do not. My kids have a mama just like it.
And when mama starts getting concerned, and when mama grabs the rolling pin, then everybody moves. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I believe that everyone in America with a brain would want to stop it, would want to stop the time. I don't even know why we changed the time anymore. Does anybody else?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Why do we do it? I mean, we used to claim, when I was a kid, everybody said it was to save electricity. Save electricity?
I thought it was something to do with maybe farming or something back in the day.
Ken, the farmers deny it. The farmers say, look, we get up when the chickens get up.
Well,
and it
that's
doesn't
true.
matter.
They do.
We get up when it's time to get up, and we don't care. If I could load the phones with farmers right now saying the same thing. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong on the super text line. The farmers always say, we get up when the animals get up, and the animals get up at the same dang time.
Well, yeah,
so
that's
it doesn't
true.
matter what the clock says. The animals don't care.
Yeah, I think I was mixing up why we have 3 months of summer vacation now.
Now that is to get the kids back in the field.
Yes,
now, you're right about that, my friend. That's summer vacation. But I heard that too. I always heard, well, it's for the farmers.
No, farmers, you're right. I mean, a rooster doesn't know if it's 6 or 7 o'clock.
You know who doesn't know?
He just knows to start crowing.
Well, that's right. You know who else doesn't know?
Who's that?
Mrs. Beasley. She is all up in my business, man.
It doesn't matter what time. She knows that time of day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
She knows it is time to have breakfast.
Right.
Let's go.
Her tummy.
Let's make it a move on
Hurry
toward
up,
the
Daddy.
food.
Make
Time
my
to get it going.
food.
If you're watching on, by the way, I suspended talking about the various platforms because we got caught up in the blowtorch power of the 100,000 watts. You can also catch us on the app, and then there's, of course, Talk TV. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch is up and running. While I got Ken Weaver here, Ken,
yes, sir.
Do you have any advice on how much it costs to like and subscribe?
Absolutely nothing.
The man says absolutely nothing. Today only. So go ahead and like and subscribe us on the Talk TV side of things. And it also costs you absolutely nothing to see my new haircut.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
I got the haircut.
Little
So
trim.
after, I don't know what to call it
chop.
anymore because there was 367 days of locks for Trump. All right, 367.
Yes, sir.
Sad to report that the Murphy mullet only made it 6 days.
Yeah.
Hey, on the 7th, it rested.
On the 7th day, it rested on the floor of Uncle Classic Barbershop in Brentwood. Big shout out to Jamie down there.
Hey, didn't say it was a good nap. I just said it was one.
Let me tell you, it was good. Jamie took care of me down there, and I appreciate you, Jamie. He repaired that which was broken, and I don't blame. Nobody's blaming the singing barber. Noah's a great guy. There was a lot of things going on the day that he cut my hair. We just didn't want to walk around with a mullet for the rest of our lives, and so we took care of that. So you can see all of that on Talk Television. So I mentioned during the cross, and I fear that if I start talking about this now, that it might take over the show, but I'm going to do it anyway. Ken, you've been here for a minute or two, right? 10 years or so?
I've been here 10 years,
10
Brother
years.
Murphy.
Have you ever heard of a character called the Nashville Foot Stomper?
Nope. Have not.
Mm-hmm. It is far enough in the rearview mirror that many people perhaps have not heard of this character that I'm going to bring up on the show today. I absolutely love stories like this. And every city has one. Every city has multiple ones. And you'll know what I'm talking about when I tell you about the Nashville Foot Stomper. So the Nashville Foot Stomper was a known entity in Nashville, Tennessee. Unicorns out there of a certain age. You've got to be over the age of, you probably have to be 50 to remember the Nashville Foot Stomper. Because apparently he was stomping starting in the late 1960s up until 1985. And I'm just going to tell you this, guys. He only stopped because prosecutors and city officials told him that he was going to have to take his foot stomping and move on down the line. He literally got ran out of town for foot stomping. And when you say, well, what do you mean by foot stomping, Matt? I mean stomping on people's feet. more particularly stomping on women's feet, even more specifically, stomping on the feet of women. I'm not making any of this up. Stomping on the feet of women that were wearing open-toed shoes.
Goodness.
Oh, yeah. This guy was the real. This guy spent years in jail for foot stomping.
What was he wearing?
He was wearing he wore black dress shoes.
That hurt.
Oh, yeah. And he wasn't playing.
Wow, what a weirdo.
I found out about this. It was alerted to me that the fabulous website. Let me get over here to the website. Where am I? Well, dadgummit. Well, is Facebook down too now? Who knows?
Well, I'm going to have to look at that.
Nashville History and Memories is the website. Oh, I guess it left my page that I had pulled up. And, well, thanks a lot. Oh, by the way, there's another news story that everybody needs to know. I'm back on Facebook.
All right, Brother Murphy.
How about that?
I'm going to look you up right now.
Handle that over the weekend.
I'm going to look you up.
You know what happened?
Brother Murphy.
Y'all know what happened?
What happened?
I don't know. I have no idea what happened.
He had a long conversation with Mr. Zuckerberg himself.
Well, you know what I did? I guess maybe these were going someplace because they kept alerting me. Well, once I got everything cleaned up and they had two-factor authentication.
Yes, sir.
The hackers had done that and I hadn't done it. And so I can't, I kept sending them back a message. I probably sent like 60 of these that said, I can't do this unless you take off two-factor authentication. And last night I went in there and just gave it a check and redid the password, and it worked. So there you go.
Why is it telling me I got to look at options under your name?
Don't options?
Yeah,
What?
it says see options.
Well, what are your options?
Well, I'm afraid to click on it.
Well, don't click on it. It'll knock me off of the
What if it-
Facebook.
I was getting ready to say, what if it knocks you off, and what if it knocks me off?
Well,
I mean, it says we're friends. We're friends on there.
we're buddies.
Yeah.
We're good.
Huh.
It's the options to unfriend.
I like
Get rid
what
of
you
the
said
Murphy.
there. Award-winning lawnmower repair and secondhand books.
That's true. Well, I am award-winning.
Yes, sir.
I won that Tennessean thing.
Yes, sir. You did.
And you and I won an award that time.
we
Can
did.
you remember that?
We did.
It's over there in the green room. Big award. Major award. Ken is responsible for that award.
I tell you who was good at lawnmower repair.
Who's that?
And that was Carl.
Ain't got no gas in it. Mm-hmm. French fried potatoes. I will get to the Nashville Foot Stomper in a moment. This is a great story. It's a perfect day for it. We will also get a few other items of more pressing importance, such as the possibility of recession. Donald Trump does not discount it. And this is stuck in my craw today, and I know I've got to get a break. This is stuck in my craw. This week is what? Y'all know what this week is?
No.
Second week of March.
Mm-hmm.
Second week of March.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For folks with kids, what's the significance of this week?
Spring break.
Spring break.
For some kids.
Mhm.
Some kids.
For some. Not all.
Not all.
Uh-huh. Is it spring?
Not yet.
Nope, not yet.
No, it's not spring. Why the hell are they on spring break?
Exactly.
I don't.
That's false advertising.
That's just as plain as I can get it, y'all. It's not spring, but you're on spring break. Well, it's not spring. You're on winter break. It's what you're on.
I thought it was called spring forward. Why are we changing hours already?
I mean, well, that's because nobody likes the wintertime hours, and so they're shrinking it as much as they possibly
That's
can.
fair.
I would just be fine with them going to fall back in like December 15th and spring forward like January 20th. I'd be fine with that. Can we be fine with that?
Let's
I'm okay
do
with
it.
that.
I'd be fine with that too. And also, y'all, if y'all want to defend spring break this week when it's not even spring, y'all come on. I'm ready. I'm a little spicy today because I got my hair cut. I feel it's like the opposite of Samson. I got energy.
More strength.
Yeah, 24
Last
after
week.
the hour. 25 after the hour. We got to go. It's Super Talk 99.7 WT.
Tomorrow from noon to 3 and streamed on the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
Well, I'll say this. It's not spring now, but it will be spring soon. And now is the time to think about those things that you need to set up for the spring season. I'm talking about at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. They're ready with all of the fertilizer, the seeds, the pre-emergent, and the herbicide that you need to get the property ready for spring. They are professional advice and know-how when it comes to lawn and lawn maintenance. So you can ask them any question, and they know the answer, and they are experts in the field. Secondarily, they have the items that you need. You know, the professionals go to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, which is why you should go to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. For example, the incredible Ferris suspension mowers. At Ferris, their commercial mowers set the bar as the first and only manufacturer to integrate suspension into their mowers. They hold 16 different patents on suspension alone. Their forefront suspension is the industry's most advanced independent suspension system. What does this mean? It means that the professionals go to Ferris, and if they're doing it, I encourage you to do it as well. Ferris Mowers set the bar as the first and only manufacturer that integrates suspension into their mowers. See the Ferris line at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. See Dickens all over town. They're in Nashville, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, Moore, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply online at dickenssupply.com. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you for a moment about Genesis Diamonds. Boy, oh boy, they have a selection that you will not believe. Gentlemen, if you've never been, I understand that it can be intimidating. I understand maybe why you've never been, right? Well, Genesis Diamonds is going to hold you by the hand and walk you through the store and help you understand exactly what's going on, right? The consultants at Genesis are not there on commission. This is important. That means that they're not transaction-focused. They're you-focused. They can spend 30 minutes with you or 3 hours with you, helping you understand size matters, helping you understand cut and clarity matters, helping you understand how to buy a diamond, and then finding the right one for you. You see the difference between a diamond that's properly cut and one that you might not want. At Genesis Diamonds, they help you understand these things. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs. I encourage you to become a part of the Genesis family. Go by today and see the incredible, uncomparable selection at the one and only Genesis Diamonds, and tell them Matt Murphy sent you.
Well, the Dow tanked again. X may be under cyber attack, and we've learned encouraging news about the East Nashville woman who took a bullet in the chest simply laying in bed. That's coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, my goodness. That's coming up in just moments. I ran long a little bit in the first segment of the show. My apologies for that. Many of you already want to talk. Debbie's up. Debbie was a victim? Debbie said she was a victim?
That's what she said.
Debbie said she was a victim of the Nashville foot stomp.
That's the words that came from her mouth.
Y'all, this is a big deal. I got a victim of the Nashville foot stomper on the line. So the Nashville foot stomper was a man by the name of George Mitchell. George Mitchell was arrested more than 40 times between 1970 and 1985. He specialized in the feet of young, well-dressed women. His favorite hunting ground was downtown on Church Street.
Ooh.
And as soon as he would get out of jail after several months, he'd be at it again, looking for feet to stomp on. I'm telling you, this guy was a terror in Nashville for over 15 years, and I love hearing stories like this. So I found it, I was alerted to this page. It is on the Nashville History and Memories page on the Facebook, and thankfully I'm back on the Facebook, but I also found an article about him at Nashville Scene. I'll tell you all about him in just a moment. This is a wonder, and Debbie's going to tell us about her experience with the foot stomper. That's all after news on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and the Dow has dropped 890 points as stocks sink again with all of the uncertainty surrounding tariffs. X is under cyber attack, according to Elon Musk. He says it was done with a lot of resources, suggests what he calls a large coordinated group and or country as being involved. There have been at least 3 outages reported by X users today. Here in Tennessee, we've learned encouraging news about that East Nashville woman who took a bullet in the chest while laying in bed after a drive-by shooting outside of the duplex where she lives. Here's Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
Metro police are still trying to piece this one together. Right now, they are working to determine why this home may have been targeted. But here's what we know so far. We know at least 16 shots were fired along Trutland Place just after 11 o'clock. Those bullets went into 2 sides of a duplex, striking a woman in the chest as she was lying in her bed. Officers had to break into a window to get to her. The other side of the duplex was also hit, but the 2 people living in there were not hurt.
Yeah, the only thing police have to go off of is neighbors reporting hearing gunshots and then squealing tires. But Channel 4 says the woman's daughter says doctors told her as her mother was going into surgery that she was going to be okay. And that's certainly great news. Canada has slapped a 25% tariff on the electricity which Ontario provides to 1.5 million Americans in Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. That's them trying to hit back at tariffs President Trump's imposing on Canada. It's expected to raise monthly rates for those Americans by an additional $69. And turning to sports, Lipscomb University head men's basketball coach Lenny Akoff says they're not scared of the NCAA tournament.
I think it's really important that we enjoy it, but then we're going to take a couple of days off. We got a lot we got to get better at. And then, we've been fortunate, guys. We at our level, we play what you call buy games, where you go play on the road. They basically pay you to come in and play. And we play 5 or 6 a year, and we've won every year the last 5 years. And so I don't think our guys will be intimidated. If we lose, it's going to be because the team's better than us. I don't think the moment will be too big. I really don't. We've got an experienced group, and they're confident, and we've been in those type games.
Yeah, this will be Lipscomb's second appearance in the Big Dance. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, downtown, got a crash reported by police. Going to be eastbound on the East Loop right after Shelby Avenue. Then around the South Loop, we've got the right shoulder block, 65 southbound, just south of I-40. And in Dixon, we've got the right lane blocked by a crash. TDOT reporting this one. It's going to be 40 eastbound right before the Centerville-Dixon Highway 46, exit 172. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We like reliable, friends. We don't like unreliable, and a lot of things have become unreliable nowadays. Somebody says, oh, this will be ready or that'll be ready at 4 o'clock, and then you get there at 4 o'clock, and it's not ready, and you have to stand around. You know, if you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair, particularly unreliable European vehicle repair, what about Eurofix? Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. Eurofix has your vehicle ready when they say that it will be ready, when it's really ready, so you don't have to stand around. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing. That's what it's all about. Dealer shops, I don't know if you know this or not, and I'm just kind of telling tales out of school. Dealer shops pay virtually all of the dealership's overhead through their repair shop. That means that they charge you more. Why would you pay for all of that? 3-year nationwide warranty, free loaner car, Eurofix. It's all about you at Eurofix, where it is reliable. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. It is 3:38, almost 3:39. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, boy. You know, if you turn on, I encourage you to get away from the hashtag NeverCNN, which is why I call them hashtag NeverCNN. Don't go over there. Bunch of nonsense over there. Bunch of garbage people spewing garbage on a garbage network. I'll watch so you don't have to. And now that Donald Trump has given an interview over the weekend where he said, look, there's going to be a bit of a transition. Donald Trump's being honest with the American people, and I appreciate that honesty. That when you take away the infusion of fake money that government's been pumping into the economy for God knows how long, obviously the economy is going to feel the result of the absence of that money. So when you take away all of this cash, of course, the economy has to adjust as a result. And he admitted the transition. He admitted the transition. And so because he has said that, the hashtag NeverCNN garbage reporters are now saying that there's going to be a recession. Automatic, there's going to be a recession. Although those in the Trump administration are not so convinced that this will get to the point of recession. Donald Trump did not say the word, for what it's worth. I'm going to go to line 1, unless line 2 is Garth Brooks. Is that Garth Brooks on line 2? That is not Garth Brooks. It is a person by the name of Garth. And you're sure it's not Garth Brooks?
I'm pretty sure he parties on with Wayne instead.
Okay, that's fine.
Guess.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Now, it's all good. No offense to him, but he just called in late. If it was Garth Brooks, he would jump the line.
Yeah, understandable.
We would have some things to talk to Garth about. No fences, friends in low places, these types of things. So we're talking about the Nashville foot stomper, and it's my understanding Debbie was a victim. Hello, Debbie. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Can you hear me?
I can. How are your feet?
Oh, so my right foot's fine, but my left foot has swollen every day of my life. I was permanently injured from them.
Debbie, you put a real face to, I mean, I know that it's all funny until you realize that this guy was not playing around, right? Tell me your story.
Okay, so I was a student at Belmont. It was probably in January or February of 73. I was working downtown at a bookstore. I was a blonde. He liked blondes. And I was putting books on the shelves, and he was looking at books, and he took his foot and just came down on the top of mine with his heel and then twisted.
Oh.
It left, I had patent leather on. It left a mark on my shoes. So that's what happened then. I didn't know anything about him. A few days later, I had an infection in my leg. I went to the nurse at Belmont, who sent me to the doctor, who put me in the hospital. They ran a lot of tests to find out what was wrong, and lymph and capillaries from above my ankle down were injured, and that's my story on him.
Well, it's going to be difficult having any fun with this after I hear all of that, because that's awful.
It is terrible.
That's
and,
horrible.
You know, all of my life, it's a different shoe. It's just been something else. When I hike, I have to make sure that I have plenty of room in there. On my left foot, my right foot is fine. It is not a funny something. He was serious, and I could pick him out of a lineup today.
How, and I have no idea if he's still, how old of a person were you at the time? If you don't mind my asking, I'm not trying to ask your age.
No,
but
not at all. Okay, so I'm 73 now. I'm retired. I taught school for 30 years. I was 21 at the time, planning a wedding, and it changed the course of my life in many ways. I wasn't able to take birth control pills because I had phlebitis from it, but I did not have a blood clot.
Oh, my goodness.
So it was a very serious thing.
How old of a fellow was, this guy had mental issues.
Okay, he did. And let me think. So I was 21 at the time. I would say maybe 30s. It's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I can see him, and I have researched him since. And it is one and the same person. I believe he served time in jail for some of these.
Oh, no. I have. If you don't know that information, Debbie, I have that. Yes, he served between. There was a span of time for about 10 years that he served all but 11 months in jail, mainly for stomping feet. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and when it happened, and he did his twist on my foot, he said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. How are you? Are you okay?" And I was in agony. But yeah, he was a tall guy. I was only 5'3". He was a good height, a thin person from what I remember. But I have seen his pictures since then, and it is the same person.
Did you know at the time that this was an epidemic, that he was doing this to a lot of women? Did you have any?
No. I was a student. I was in my junior year at Belmont. I was, taking a heavy load. I was working at a bookstore downtown, and I just wasn't aware of what was going on in Nashville. I just knew what was going on, in my life, and
well, my goodness
I didn't
gracious.
know anything about that.
Well, if you're listening, you will know all about. This guy went to jail multiple times. Did you report him, or did he play it off like it was an accident?
He played it off like it was an accident. I had no idea. I thought this person was sincere. I also thought I wondered, about him, because honestly, if you step back on someone with those dress heels on and twist, there's something there, but I didn't know at the time. And then after Belmont, I lived back in eastern North Carolina, so I wasn't aware of everything that was going on with him. So anyway, then I decided to look him up after we got so much internet and everything is so easy now, and there he is, the Nashville foot stomper.
My goodness, Greg. Well, please, Debbie, continue to listen. It's a fascinating story that you tell, and the story gets even more fascinating. I was amazed by it, and obviously it is easy. Thank you, Debbie, for the call. It's easy to Debbie was a victim of the Nashville foot stomper, permanent injury, and it's easy to laugh at this, and you can't help but laugh to keep from crying. A lot of people had a lot of fun with this over the years. I'm just learning about it. Every city's got some quirks, and Like in Birmingham, there was a guy that rode around in what was called the Batmobile, and he called himself Batman. And he did this for like 12 years, and he would report crime. He had scanners, and he would go to crime scenes, and then he would call the cops. He was not a cop, but he would report crimes. I mean, it's this type of stuff that is city-centric. And I found out about the Foot Stomper, and I'm like, well, I've got to talk about this because surely there are people that remember the Nashville Foot Stomper, and there are plenty of them. I never in my wildest imagination dreamed that we would have a victim of the Foot Stomper. The research that I have done goes to an article coming from the Nashville scene. The article was written in 2002. But starting in the late 1960s, according to the Nashville scene and reports from the Tennessean, a black North Nashvilleian by the name of George Mitchell launched a one-man war upon the feet of local women. Clad in hard black dress shoes, Mitchell would slide up to his victims and bring the wooden heel down on the tender bones of their insteps. To the Nashville media, it was a joke that never got old. For 18 years, the Foot Stomper inspired board copy editors to a smirky, snarky headline such as "Foot Stomper gets the boot again," "Cools heels in jail." News anchors, scarcely hiding their amusement, could not wait to report the latest attack. He gave them plenty of chances. By the mid-1980s, between 1970 and 1985, George Mitchell was arrested more than 40 times. In the 15 years between 1970 and 1985, he spent all but 11 months in jail. And as soon as he got out of jail, he went back down to Church Street, back down to downtown Nashville, and commenced to stomping on feet again. At the height of his notoriety, however, the Foot Stomper vanished. The story faded out of memory. Yet the Nashville scene in 2002 tracked him down, or at least tracked his story down. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. In the meantime, Gary's in the borough. Hey, Gary, what's up?
Hey, not a whole lot. Just a few things. My mother is in her 90s and raised in Cumberland City, Tennessee. In 1918, I think it said they started daylight savings time. But her father, in the Second World War, they was building Camp Campbell, now Fort Campbell. And they would go and work. A lot of the older farmers got jobs, which was a blessing to them. And they would go and work during the day and come home and work in the afternoon. Supposedly that's what happened in the First World War. It's what I read, but my mother said that was definitely in the Second World War. It's what they did. You're talking about the Foot Stomper. This is crazy. I worked in 1973 at the King Sloan down on Church Street. It was King Sloan store. And I worked there during the summertime in high school. And this guy came in and bought a big old set of, or big old shoes, Floor Shine, real nice pair of shoes. They were not cheap. And I worked in the shoe department that summer. Anyway, I thought that was strange. I didn't know who he was. Guy I worked with said he goes around stomping on people's feet. I thought that's strange. And now here you talk about it today, that brings back a lot of memories. That was the summer of '73 when I saw him, and he bought a pair of Floor Shine shoes up there at King Sloan on Church Street.
Well, let me promise you this, Gary. He did some stomping with those shoes. I guarantee you.
I understand.
I guarantee. I mean, 1970. I mean, thank you, Gary, for the call. I mean, 1973, he was just getting into it. As of 2002, have no idea where the Foot Stomper is now, whether he's still alive.
Wonder if he ever got his ass kicked.
Well, I don't know.
He certainly deserved it.
He spent a lot of time in jail, Weaver.
Yeah, well, he might have got his just desserts.
But here's the deal. As of 2002, he was a father and grandfather and was very apologetic, said that he had finally got his mind right and his life in order. How about that?
Do you believe him, though?
I mean, no, well, I don't know. Once a Foot Stomper, always a Foot Stomper. Yeah. I'm not trying to, I mean, he broke women's feet.
He broke their feet. I mean, and this poor woman we just heard from, she's still suffering from it today.
Suffering. This dude had clear mental issues, and there was not a lot that the police officer, but apparently in 1985, the city had gotten enough of the Nashville Foot Stomper. They had put him in jail. He spent most of his youth in jail. He emerged only to stomp again. This is from the Nashville scene story. It became clear Mitchell was more interested in feet than anything else. In 1966, a woman from Greenbrier accused him of stomping her foot 3 times at 3 different stores in Nashville's Church Street shopping district. He was sentenced to a year at the state training school. No sooner than he was released that he stepped up his attacks. Police couldn't keep up. In 1968, he was arrested for 1 charge before police could even process 2 other claims. By this time, Mitchell was 19 years of age, so he's 19 in 68, 49. He very likely could still be alive, by the way.
He could be.
He would spend most of his youth in jail, emerging only to stomp again. Sometimes he would stomp on women's feet within minutes of his release. This guy had, well, I don't know. In the Greyhound bus depot in 1983, he strode in after midnight wearing a 3-piece suit and a red rose in his lapel. He stood there and stomped 3 women and ran before the security guard tagged him. Victims said that he would apologize profusely after the event. He said the experience gave him no pleasure, but he couldn't help himself. His stomach would clench, his body would shake. Next thing he knew, he was going downtown to go to jail. I'd rather be dead than stomp on another woman's feet, he told the Tennessean in 1985, but it's uncontrollable. Why did he do it? Psychiatrists who have been interviewed by there's a documentary on this dude, by the way. What is the documentary called? It was actually a pretty good name of the documentary. I'll figure it out. I'll find it in this story. Injurious George. Instead of Curious George, it's entitled Injurious George. Psychiatrists say that he had obsessive compulsive disorder, intermittent explosive disorder, and not surprisingly, a major foot fetish. No doubt there was a racial component as well, as most of the victims of Mitchell were blonde white women, the sort who might have attended the schools that he couldn't or wouldn't, according to the story. There it is. I was fascinated. I thought maybe it'd fascinate y'all. The Nashville foot stomper. That's what we know. He was alive as of 2002, and according to the Nashville Scene article, he had attempted to make amends and had gotten over his issues, and he's not in state and not in jail, and did not wish the interviewer at the time to tell anybody about his whereabouts because he felt like he had turned his life around and was ashamed of his past discretions. Well, there you go. And no word on whether anybody, as Ken Weaver so delicately put it, kicked his ass during these times. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they did, and he said, you know what, this is not worth stomping feet.
Yeah.
It's 54 after the hour on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Efficient Heating and Cooling. It's that time of year where I tell you, get your AC checked. Get it checked now. I mean, we're using it from time to time. It's going to get up to a temperature where you're going to have that thing on a little more regularly. I invite you to maintenance the thing to make sure that everything is clean on the unit, because I don't want you blowing all that dust and dander out into the family room, into the areas where your family's going to breathe it up. Secondarily, what do you know about AC repair? I don't know anything, but I know Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. I know that they can help you maintenance that unit to make sure that it's going to work efficiently throughout the course of the spring and summer. I know that it's not been running for some months, and that means that you need to check it to make sure that it's going to be A-OK during the summer months. The last thing you want is for it to break down on you. Plus, if it's time, if you felt like it was on its last legs last season and you got max value out of that, maybe it's time to go ahead and talk to Jeff Eddy about replacing it. They're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can recommend the right unit for you and your family. Call 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or go to efficienthvac.net. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to efficienthvac.net. If your AC's not ready, call Jeff Eddy. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you about my buddies at the Glock store and why they're so good at what they do. And we're so lucky to have them in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, one of the reasons that Glocks are the most popular handgun in the United States of America, the wide availability of customization and performance parts, from competition triggers to night sights to extended controls, magwells, red dot optics, on and on it goes. There's no end to the number of upgrades that you could have at the Glock store, and with your Glock, rest assured, if it's for a Glock, they have it at the Glock store. Glock store carries it. And we're so lucky to have the Glock store in Nashville. We have their retail showroom. I mean, they ship all over the United States of America. I mean, people come from far and wide via the website, glockstore.com, to shop at the Glock store. But you can walk in. You can see the showroom. You can see as they're open for business. And know this, whatever you buy at the Glock store, there's a certified gunsmith on duty and ready to put that on, install that for free, whatever it is, while you wait. That's right. They install for free while you wait at the Glock store. How about that? Lots to love about the Glock store. Convenient to anywhere, minutes away from the airport, right off of Elm Hill Pike on Airlane Drive. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Glock store.
Might Pope Francis be about to resign? And Tennessee is a vote closer to further restricting what can be bought with food stamps. These stories and more coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, it's official. My headphones have gone out.
Can't hear a thing?
It was, no, left channel. Left channel only.
Left channel.
Left channel. So if you're coming at me from the right, good luck. I got a blind spot. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Probably 6 years.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good
That's
run.
good run for those headphones.
Good run. Everyday use, 6 years.
Yeah,
Sure.
these gave out on me a year and a half in.
I got about 6 years on these, too.
Yeah. That's not bad. So I'm at a loss. When someone moves my cheese, it bothers me. So I'm at a loss for the rest of the day. So if you disagree with me, now's your day. Come at me, bro. I'm weak.
Easy to push over.
bro.
I feel like I'm gettable. today. Lindsay will be trying to get me when we come back from the break. Plus, Robby Starbuck's coming up to give us an update on his DEI project. It's all happening next on Super Talk. Here's the news.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a heads up for your drivers in Murfreesboro. Police say part of Desjardins Lane between Northwood and Memorial is closed due to a gas line rupture. They say to expect these delays as late as 9 o'clock tonight. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, the Tennessee House passing a bill that bars people from buying soda and candy with SNAP benefits. This bill still has to make it through the state Senate. On Wall Street, stocks fell again to new lows due to uncertainty from tariffs. And Elon Musk says X is under cyber attack. There have been multiple outages today. Musk says this cyber attack is from whom he thinks is a large coordinated group and or country. Canada has put a 25% tariff on electricity. It provides about 1.5 million Americans in Minnesota, New York, and Michigan, meaning an additional $69 more a month to power those homes. Meanwhile, as the tit-for-tat tariffs continue, Alex Christoforous looked into the recession risks.
I actually spoke with the chief economist at Moody's today, Mark Zandi, who says that the recession risk is growing. He now puts it at 35% versus 15% for a recession early next year. He says this could happen if the Trump tariffs are put in place and remain there for at least a few months.
Right now in our nation's capital, jackhammer crews removing the big black and yellow letters designating Black Lives Matter Plaza to make way for what will be called Liberty Plaza instead. If it stays Black Lives Matter Plaza, D.C.'s mayor says they risk losing federal funding. The Vatican says the Pope's condition continues to be stable, and as a result, his doctors have decided to lift what they call his guarded prognosis as a result. And as the 88-year-old pontiff approaches the second anniversary as head of the Catholic Church, there are questions whether he may step down. Here's Tom Sufi-Burridge.
No indication that Pope Francis is going to resign. That is completely not on the table at all, and not talked about here in the Vatican at all. I think it's important to underline that, Pope Francis is confined to his hospital room for now. There's no indication of when he might hopefully be discharged from hospital, but he is still working from his hospital room, according to the Vatican. He has been joining Vatican business and meetings via video link.
The new district attorney in Los Angeles, Nathan Hochman, doesn't think Eric and Lyle Menendez meet the threshold for being released from prison for the 1989 murder of their parents, and he thinks they've lied multiple times about the case. However,
district attorney's office, if it is presented with these new insights, unequivocal, sincere acknowledgments of all the lies they have told for the past over 30 years, we too, in the district attorney's office, will reconsider whether or not we would want to go forward with a resentencing motion.
Now, the resentencing hearing is set for 10 days from now. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Okay, over here on the East Loop going westbound, got a crash reported by police at Shelby Avenue. Also in Smyrna, got a crash. On-ramp partially blocked. Highway Patrol reporting this one. It's going to be the 24 westbound on-ramp from Almaville Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk at 99.7 WTN.
All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you until 7 tonight. We'll hand off to the great one, Mark Levin, at that time. It is 7 minutes after the hour of 4 right now on Super Talk. Hey, Mason, will you do me a favor? I should have done this during the break, but I was busy trying to do something else.
I'm here and happy to help.
Would you mind when I get on with Robby Starbuck, coming in here and handing me those
Yes, sir, I
from
can.
across the way. Thank you.
Yes, sir, I can.
Because it's going to drive me insane. I got a little short going on in my headphones right now that will drive me mentally crazy unless I fix that. Happy to have you with us on this Monday, March 10, 2025. Thank you for being here. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. 615-737-9986 is our telephone number. Speaking of being appreciative of time, always good to catch up with our man, Robby Starbuck, who is on the prowl when it comes to DEI programs and major companies and corporations around the United States of America. His laundry list of success stories are too numerous to name, and he joins us on the Murphy Show hotline today to talk about some of the successes over the past several weeks. Good to catch up, Robby. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, sir?
I am fabulous, man. You're blowing and going. I mean, you're making this thing happen by leaps and bounds. Tell us, you had an adventurous week last week, did you not?
I did. I did have an adventurous week. I had to go to New York. Wall Street Journal, they invited me, and I was very grateful for that, to be the main speaker at their summit that they do with a lot of the corporate executives. And, we were talking about DE&I. And, it was interesting. I just have to say, I have not been more grateful to come back to Tennessee in a very long time, because it is a tragedy what is happening to these big cities in Democrat-run states. New York, I don't mean to be rude. My mom raised me better than to just trash things for no reason, but it has gotten into such a state of disrepair that I just have to say it is disgusting. It smells the worst you could imagine. You've got squalor all over the place, illegal immigrants all over. It is a true nightmare. It looked like Gotham City, and so I just pray that, somehow those places get turned around. But it certainly makes you grateful to live here.
Have you been back to California? I mean, how long were you out there?
So I was raised there, but in a more rural area. The area that I grew up in was, a lot of farmland, a lot of vineyards and stuff like that. I mean,
we call that the real California, right?
Yeah, real California.
Right.
So then, unfortunately, because of work, my wife and I lived in the LA area in Calabasas for probably I don't know the math off my top of my head. I think probably 6 years, and in Orange County a bit before that. But that area as well is just, even when we left, which was a little over 6 years ago now, it was already bad. But, everybody I know who still lives there, I mean, it's 1,000% worse. I mean, it's accelerated so much. It's unbelievable. And it's because, the Democratic Party went full communist essentially there. I mean, they've lost their minds. And what is seemingly just common sense we all used to be able to agree on is now, in the eyes of Democrats in these places, it's like, oh, it's fascist to want clean streets or something. I mean, it's nuts. So, I'm going to be really honest with you. I've actually been offered a decent bit of money to go do speaking events in California, and I have turned them down because I have absolutely no desire to go to that state.
Oh, wow.
I think it's disgusting what has happened there. So
well,
it would take like the president asking me to go for me to go to California at this point.
I'll give. I guess it was Charlie Kirk when Gavin Newsom did this weird podcast where and I guess good for him. He invited Charlie Kirk on, and I thought Charlie did a great job of pointing out, look, why is it that y'all can clean up California when somebody like the Chinese are coming over, but you can't clean the place up for the California residents that live there and work there and actually are productive members of your state? And, Gavin Newsom had no answer for that question. Why can't you just clean it up? Donald Trump's doing it in Washington, D.C., and he's facing some of the same stuff that you're talking about, Robby. People are calling him, a Nazi because he's cleaning up tent cities that have descended upon that city over the last 4 years. It's amazing.
You know what's great, though, is normal people, they hear that, and it sounds so ludicrous to them. The people actually complaining like this are only the Democrats who are in power. Even among the Democratic Party, a decent portion of them, they agree on these things. You want clean streets, you don't want violence in your neighborhood, right? The problem is, I think, you've got this section of Democrat voters who they believe vote blue no matter who, and it's what drew them into this situation, right? And the way that they do fundraising, it's really predicated on such a hardcore, insane base needing to donate that it results in always having crazy candidates, that are further and further left. And so it's why you see them act like clowns in D.C. too, like this Jasmine Crockett lady who puts on a show acting like, she's, a gangster or something up in D.C. She does it for fundraising dollars. This is a girl who actually went to elite schools,
Right.
had a very nice upbringing from her parents, and she pretends to be a gangster in D.C. because she wants small dollar donations from people who increasingly are attracted to lunacy. And that's the Democratic Party. But, I will say on that note about Charlie and Gavin Newsom, I'm actually really happy Charlie did the Gavin Newsom podcast or whatever he's calling it, because, Gavin clearly wanted to use this as an attempt to moderate himself, but he's so transparently slimy that he didn't get that to come across. Instead, what came across is he has absolutely no answer for all of the failures of the Democrats. And it was just to the point of absurdity where all he could do is laugh every time Charlie pointed out how absurd they are and
Right.
how they failed in California. And so, that's an example of, if he was dumb enough to invite me on to talk about DEI, I would make that trip to California just to tell him to his face what a disaster he's been. That's one of the few motivating things where I'd be like, okay, you know what, I'll get on a plane and go over there. So I'm happy Charlie did that, because it really clarified for any Democrats who maybe are on the fence that this is a losing party that you don't want to be a part of.
I say this, and you know how much I love what you have done on the DEI front, and I think it took a very particular person to do that. So I'm not diminishing what you're doing, because you had to have a platform that was big enough to address an audience that was ready to receive the information that you were giving them, and you had to get inside some of these companies and get that information that was so valuable to expose them as to exactly what they were doing. And I'm not taking away the difficulty that it was to do all of that. At the same time, once it is presented, it's almost, the word that comes to mind is simple, in the sense that when people become aware of what the companies are doing, the people say, well, okay, Robby, I don't have to shop with them anymore. And immediately when the companies recognize that they've been exposed, it seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, you tell me, they pull back. They immediately say, okay, we'll stop all of this. We don't want to lose, 75% of our customer base as a result of what we were doing inside of the business that we never intended for our customers to find out about.
Okay, here's what's really funny. So you kind of hit the nail on the head, and I'm not even sure you fully grasp how much, because so here's the funny thing. You get these elite, legacy media, overly educated, media types who have tried to figure out the success of what we've done, and their end result is they basically conclude, you must be a genius. And I'm like, it's actually not that. This is incredibly simple. I'm not a genius by any stretch of the imagination. I simply have taken a very simple concept around common sense and realized that I could be a megaphone for the concerns of average people, because they all agree that this is crazy. And so all somebody needed to do was put the information together and be able to just show people and hold up a mirror. This is what these corporations actually have become. And the answer to that was going to be so incredibly simple. It would be very difficult for it to fail the way that we've put it together, right? And so no, you're right. You can take away kind of from what I've done in a sense, because it's not that genius of an idea. It's just simply saying, hey, let's make this a little less complicated. Let's just show people what these companies actually are. And that's really all we've done. So I've always put it as, I consider myself just a megaphone for what normal people talk about when they find out about these absurdities. So it's at one company, their employees are talking about this at the kitchen table with their family members going, this is nuts. How is this able to continue to happen? All I did was take that information from the kitchen table and bring it to a national audience.
So tell me about the event in New York. What took you to New York and the experience that you had?
Yeah, so it was interesting, so at the beginning of this Wall Street Journal event, they wanted me to come in because all these executives, are talking about, kind of what I've done, and a lot of them are afraid that they'll be next. And New York Times called me the most feared man in corporate America. And then they did this whole article about the millions and millions. And I'm not joking you. When I say millions, I'm talking this is a massive amount of money, not 1 million, not 2 million. We're talking about it's closer into the 100 area than below, okay? And that's the conservative estimate on the money they've spent trying to do background oppo research, trying to prepare for how you handle this if he comes to you, and so on and so forth. And it was incredible to see that they've built this little industry of advising on this issue, right? And so they wanted me to come in and sort of answer questions about it. And so I was happy to do it. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of go face to face with these executives and tell them to their face that what they've done is insane. And so we did it. And one thing I thought was really interesting is this one executive from a major company I won't name him at this point. I may next week, but he's a successful black man in America. This is somebody who's a millionaire. They've had really the American dream, in every sense, in my view, by achieving what they've achieved. And I'm not saying they haven't had hardship along the way. Maybe they have, but they achieved what we all consider to be the American dream, right? He stands up in the middle of this function and basically starts heckling and goes, down this line of essentially framing me as somebody who is out of touch with racism in America, and literally said that America has not changed in, he either said 20 or 30 years. And that essentially the country is just as racist as it always has been, and it's worse now than it ever has been. And so I just said that's patently ludicrous. Like, we're talking about somebody who, you are an executive at one of the biggest companies in the world, and you are fantastically wealthy. And what else is it that the country hasn't given you? It's kind of like, it reminded me of the NFL players that have complained about America. And it's like, oh, you're on a $20 or $30 million contract per year, and you're complaining like this country hasn't given you your dreams. It has. And of course you had to work for it. But the gall was kind of stunning to me. But there was another thing that was interesting. At the very beginning of this Wall Street Journal summit, they did a poll of the executives there, an anonymous one, about whether or not they believed DEI was important. Okay. And to be perfectly honest with you, I want to ask you, what do you expect the result of that would be in a New York function with Fortune 500 executives? What do you think the percentage was that wanted to get rid of DEI?
Publicly? Gosh.
In a private poll.
In a private poll.
Yeah.
20%?
So,
it's a guess.
You know what? You're
more
favorable than me. I thought it was going to be 90-10. I thought 10% were going to want to get rid of it, and 90% were going to be all for it. It was over 30% wanted to get rid of it.
Wow.
So that surprised me and made me think, okay, you know what? We have more allies there than we realize. Because a lot of them, when they get rid of this stuff, they're operating based off fear, but they actually believe in this stuff still. It's just that they know that publicly they just can't weather it anymore. But to think that still you're so drastically out of step with America that you've got, around,
70%, right. Yeah.
Percentile, or around 70, who still believe in this stuff is mind boggling, right? Because some of the stuff we've pointed out is so absurd. You almost have to check back and go like, is Robby making this up? And it's like, every time you double check it, it's like, no, he's not making up. This is a real document. And, I think that really kind of, it stuns you still, even if you expect it, and I expected it, and it still surprised me how woefully out of touch they are. So I think it was good for them to get to hear from, sort of normal America. And that's kind of what I was bringing to them, is like, this is how we see it. And also to poke holes in their logical fallacies. So like, one of the things they brought up in this event is they said, there's been studies done that have shown that if you use a black name in a resume for a job versus a white name, you'll get less callbacks. And I said, well, first of all, can you tell me what a black name is?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have plenty of friends who are black who you wouldn't be able to tell what their race is by their name, first of all. Secondly, so that on its front is kind of ludicrous for the design of a study, right? How do you do a study based around blackness when, you've got all these transferable names? But secondarily, I said, the interesting thing is, I bet you I know more about these studies than you guys do. The first one that you guys all like to cite was actually done 20 some odd years ago by two left-wing economists. And they did this by answering job wanted ads in two Democrat-run cities, Chicago and Boston. And they did it at random with no scientific sort of structure around what they were doing. They just called willy-nilly and made up names and tried to see if they'd get callbacks. Okay, that's not a study. That's called convenience sampling. You can set that up however you want to and say, a certain name that you design and say is black, and then give them lesser job experience, and then call in another place and use a different name and give them better job experience. And guess what? You're going to get the callback with the second name. So that's why it's not scientific. And the second one was done by UC Berkeley, not exactly a nonpartisan actor. And even in that one, what they found was, yes, some were calling back black applicants less. But they also found that about a dozen of the largest companies were calling back black people far more than they were calling any other race. And the vast majority of companies were not doing anything different. It was just they were calling people back at the same rates. And so it tells you that, you can kind of choose your own adventure on this, and that's what they're doing. And I think it was important for them to understand that a lot of the things that they're consuming and believing when they're in these elitist circles, they're doing so without actually even diving deep into what the information is. Who's doing the study? Who designed it? Is it scientific? And in most cases, I can tell you they're not. They're just gobbling up whatever garbage the legacy media gave them.
23 after the hour. Hold if you can, Robby, because I want to ask about AT&T and the latest news that you have on one of these big companies that's kind of folding their tent regarding DEI training. And how does Robby answer the question that we get a lot? Are you against diversity? Are you against inclusion? A lot of times when they ask these questions, they skip the word equity because they know that equity is a dirty word. We'll do that next. It's 23 after the hour. You're listening to The Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Well, Tennessee is a vote closer that further restrict, I should say, what people can buy with food stamps. Stocks fell again today to new lows due to uncertainty from tariffs. These stories and more coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There he is, Ken Weaver. He's over in the newsroom. Matt Murphy in Studio A, 28 after the hour. Robby Starbuck with us for a couple of additional moments. I wanted to give you a chance. You posted something Friday, I guess it was, Robby, about AT&T. I wanted to talk specifically about this organization. Would I consider this another pelt on your wall of companies that have acquiesced to the DEI monster and given it up?
This is the latest company that we have gotten to get rid of their DEI policy. So quick rundown, they have eliminated their chief diversity officer position. They have ended all DEI trainings. They have stopped their association with far left groups like the HRC and the Trevor Project. They have agreed to go back to the drawing board when it comes to their sponsorships and align all of their sponsorships with only things that are neutral down the middle, business appropriate, and no longer things like some of these LGBTQ plus events that they had been sponsoring. And so they've essentially said, we get it. We need to be neutral. We've got to go down middle of the road. We want customers from every walk of life. And to do that, we've got to get out of the business of anything that's going to divide people. And so, this is a big win. And if you think about it in the context of telecom, specifically, I think it's the first domino to sort of go down, because all of the telecom companies have some relationship with the government. And we're going to be pushing and pressing on that with these telecom companies to get them in line, because for a lot of them, I think, they're trying to figure out right now how much can they get away with. And we're sort of a reminder, we're not going to let you get away with anything and violate these new EOs that President Trump has put out. But we're going to hold you accountable for the things you do, and we're going to let your customers know. So that's the trick. We let people know, and people kind of do the rest.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, no, and that's the beauty of everything that you do. And like I say at the beginning of the conversation, I don't try to oversimplify it. I just think it's incredibly impactful and effective when the customer base understands exactly what the companies are doing. And these are companies that they could easily go around and go to someone else. Great work as always. Well explained as always. I hope you don't have to go back to New York anytime soon, Robby. We appreciate you here in Tennessee, my friend.
I'm going to try not to, as much as I can stay here. That's the goal. But I appreciate it, and I always love coming on. So thanks for having me.
All right, take care. There's Robby Starbuck. Always good to catch up with him and his work in the DEI platform. It's 30 minutes after the hour. It's time for news on Super Talk.
.4:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And heads up for drivers in Murfreesboro. Police say part of Desjardins Lane between Northwood and Memorial is going to be closed for hours due to a gas line rupture. They say to expect delays there as late as 9 o'clock tonight. Got the full forecast traffic update in 5 minutes. Right now, the Tennessee House passing a bill that bars people from buying junk food with SNAP benefits. The Tennessee Healthy SNAP Act would require Department of Human Services to request a waiver from the USDA, allowing the state to end benefits for things like soda and candy. The bill still has to make it through the Tennessee Senate. Stocks fell again today to new lows due to uncertainty from tariffs. Effective today, by the way, Canada imposing a 25% tariff on electricity, which Ontario provides to about 1.5 million Americans in Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says this should add about $69 per month to the electricity bills for each American affected. Elon Musk says X is under cyber attack. There have been multiple outages today. Musk says this cyber attack on X is from who he thinks is a large coordinated group and or country. And hundreds demonstrated in Lower Manhattan today protesting the ICE arrest of grad student Mahmoud Khalil, who helped organize last year's pro-Palestinian protests on the Columbia campus. Aaron Katersky was in the middle of the demonstration.
Demonstrators have massed here in Lower Manhattan in protest of the arrest by federal immigration agents of Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate student who had been organizing some of the protests against Israel on Columbia's campus last spring. President Trump says the arrest was in furtherance of his policies against anti-Semitism. But these demonstrators say the arrest violated free speech rights and is unconstitutional.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Okay, I'm seeing a crash reported by police. It's over on the shoulder, but you got that move over law. Got to get by them safely. 40 westbound before Charlotte Pike. Then in Smyrna, we've got a crash reported by the Highway Patrol, partially blocking the on-ramp. This is going to be from Almaville Road to go westbound on 24. And then in Laverne, we have a report of a medical emergency, and this is off on the right shoulder. This is at 24 westbound past Old Hickory Boulevard. And then back here in South Nashville, got a stalled vehicle on the left shoulder, 24 westbound before Murfreesboro Pike. And down in Rutherford County again, a stalled vehicle, right shoulder blocked, 840 westbound past New Nashville Highway, Northwest Broad Street. That'll be exit 55. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Last 40 minutes, I felt like a duck. Just trying to glide across that water as smooth as possible. Meantime, underneath the little feets are pedaling as fast as they can. Super Talk 99.7 WTN would love to hear from you. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. You can call us. You may super text us. Super text line is chock full of people supportive of and critical of Robby Starbuck, and almost everyone's critical of him because they say he's not from around here. Those are the criticisms that I'm seeing on the super text line. I appreciate the work that the man's done. I don't think you can doubt his efficacy. I do believe that that he has created a dynamic by which companies are fearful that he will expose their DEI policies, which are inherently racist. This is the brilliance of DEI from its inception. You create a program by which you believe that you have insulated yourself from any criticism. You call it something like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, we've exposed the fallacy of the word equity. Equity is all about outcome. Equality is about equal footing and equal opportunity. Opportunity to have a successful outcome. Equity is about outcome-based results, meaning no matter your input, no matter how hard you work or don't, no matter what you do or don't, the outcome would remain the same. Equity is the big linchpin in the equation. Diversity for diversity's sake is not necessarily a positive trait because oftentimes it comes with bad outcome. Bad outcome for what? Bad outcome for the company that you represent, bad outcome for the people that you represent, bad outcome for your employees, your stockholders, your shareholders. And inclusion is just a word that liberals use to make others feel bad if they don't go along with their woke policies. I do believe Robby has done a solid job exposing these companies. And frankly, some of the companies are ones that I would not have guessed nor did not realize had gone as far in on DEI programming as some of them had, to include, Harley Davidson is a good example. John Deere is another example. But the amount of spin that goes into the companies when they feel like they're about to be exposed and the quickness by which they remove these policies. And by the way, these were all performative in nature to begin with. And secondarily, they were all designed to get the mob off of their backs. I don't believe they make good policy. I am in favor of hiring the best people for the job, regardless of any condition of their birth of which they had no control. We should not determine one's employment status based on a condition that they had nothing to do with. At the same time, they have to be able to do the job, obviously. And sometimes a condition of birth would prevent an individual. Well, I mean, if you were born blind, you're not going to make a good Uber driver, in other words. 615-737-9986. Jason says, I don't doubt Robby's efficacy, but I guarantee you the Tennessee Republican Party does. Well, it seems that way, doesn't it? And then this on my haircut. If you're not watching on Super Talk TV, you might not notice that I've gotten a haircut. I don't know if it comes out on the air on audio only. I don't know if I'm talking different because of the haircut or not. I'm talking different because of the headphones, I'll tell you that. This makes me realize what a delicate snowflake I am.
Yeah.
The headphone situation.
Weighing you down a little bit?
Well, no, it's just they sound different, and it's bothering me.
How they sound?
These are a lot more bass. I don't like the bassiness. That's why I can't wear wireless, because they're so bassy. But I don't like the bassiness of these, and they're just not my professional professional Sonys, man.
Yeah, I watched you drop them in the trash.
I threw them in the trash. The stereo dynamics. These are the old Sony studio monitors. They're the 7506s. I couldn't remember the number.
How'd you describe the sound that comes out of those?
Awesome. Until they break.
Yeah. But is it like a higher pitch, less bass, a little more tinny.
It's a clean sound with less bass. I mean, a lot of people want – so most headphones are designed to have bass in them because people want the bottom end for music purposes. And they are designing headphones for music purposes. I want clean. I want sound I want it coming out as it comes in.
Yeah.
And so I don't want the additional bass. I mean, right now I can hear I don't sound this low. Oh,
listening to your car, it might come across that way.
Sounds pretty good right there. Get it as low as you can go. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, well. 615-737. By the way, Garth, nobody hung up on Garth. Garth is accusing us of hanging up on him. Nobody hung up on you, Garth. I was going to you and you weren't there, Garth. And so then we had a guest. So Garth, call us back anytime, Brooks or otherwise, and we would love to hear from you. 7429 says, you can't call that a haircut. You barely had anything cut off. Let me assure you, this one had some stuff cut off of it.
Yeah, if it compares into the live show to now, oh my goodness,
yeah. There's a lot that's been cut off of this hair.
Imagine you can see the back of your neck.
I mean, yeah. I can't feel it on the back of my head, and it's not going down my shirt. Imagine if big corporations like the NFL or the NBA adopted DEI. Well, I mean, you'd have a lot more white boys playing basketball, I assume, right?
True.
I mean, that is the National Basketball Association is a merit-based system by which the best players get on the – same thing with the NFL. Same thing with all sporting endeavors, one would presume, unless, of course, it's female sports and you're in a liberal state where they allow dudes to compete against your daughters. Other than that, it is a level playing field. Speaking of female sports, though, have you heard where this is great. The WNBA, they're about to enter into contract negotiations. Y'all know about this?
No, I don't.
Yeah, they are. And the WNBA, certain WNBA players are demanding that they get paid what they are worth. And they're saying that they're going to have collective bargaining, and they're going to demand better pay in the WNBA.
What do they dictate they're worth?
They think they're worth a lot more than they're getting paid. I don't know exactly what they think they're getting worth. I don't know exactly what they think they're worth, but they want multi-million-dollar contracts. They want their contracts to better reflect and more resemble the contracts that the men get. Well, here's the big difference. It has nothing to do with you being female, ma'am.
Nope.
It has everything to do with the fact that your business model does not make money.
Nope.
The WNBA has been around for, I believe, 29 years. I think I'm right. You fact check me on that, Mason. I think it's 29 years now. It might be 28, might be 29, might be 30. It's around there. Do you know how many years out of the entire existence of the WNBA what is it?
28.
28. Out of the 28 years that the WNBA has been in existence, Mason, I want you to guess. Give me a wag. That's a wild-ass guess. Give me a wag. How many years of the 28 has the WNBA made a profit?
Ooh. See, I don't want to undershoot, but I don't want to overshoot because I don't know. Let's go 10.
10 years.
Let's go 10.
You would be incorrect, Mason.
Oh, no. Did I overshoot?
Ken Weaver. If he's back there, I want Ken Weaver. I'm not trying to drag you into a political discussion about the WNBA, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Well, what is it, Brother Murphy?
The WNBA has been in existence now for 28 years.
It has?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you dare guess how many of those years the WNBA has made a profit?
Based on the question, I'd say none.
0 is correct. Get out!
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
That's right. Without subsidy, without exterior subsidy, subsidy. I never could say that word. Subsidy. Am I saying that right?
Nah.
I hope so. Without some money coming from other places, the WNBA does not earn money. And meantime, the Babylon Bee has the greatest headline of the day. The Babylon Bee says WNBA players demand to be paid what they're worth, and they now owe the NBA $400 million. It's about that amount of money that the NBA has put into the WNBA, and that is the truth. Look, I don't begrudge that the NBA feels like it is in their best interest to subsidize the WNBA, but that is exactly what's going on. The answer is 0 years. In 28 years, the WNBA has not earned money. This is not an anti-woman position. It is a pro-business position to suggest that if the WNBA wants to continue to exist, they do so at the at the request of and at the allowance of the NBA and the owners of the National Basketball Association. And if they feel like it continues to be in their best interest to subsidize these ladies playing basketball, that's all well and good. I don't begrudge people that are fans of the sport. I don't begrudge people that go and watch the games. I'm just telling you what the numbers say. And the numbers say you are not going to get additional money when your product is not making money on its own. And this would go for the NBA. Look at Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is going through some big issues, and they continue to pay their players big-time money. And let me promise you this. When some of these baseball contracts, like ESPN refused to re-up their contract with Major League Baseball.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
And those contracts that those players are getting are about to go into the toilet as a result. Because I cannot continue to sink money into a product that's not making it back. And so if I don't get it back from television contracts, and if I'm not getting it back from getting butts in seats for 162 games during the baseball season, I don't care if it's a dude out there pitching or a female out there pitching. I don't care. It's a matter of money. I don't, once again, begrudge individuals that watch the product. But the fact of the matter is there's not enough people watching the product. Certainly not enough people to merit this attitude that Angel Reese has about the WNBA. Oh, we're going to get paid, and I'll walk. She said she'd walk. Well, walk. What do you think would happen if the WNBA ceased to exist? Here's your answer. Nothing. There would be a few people that would be out of a job. There would be a very few people, that would be sorely disappointed. And as pointed out by 7997, I mean, you guys all had degrees, right? You all went to college and you had a free education in college. You know, many of you went to great University of Tennessee has a fabulous women's basketball program. So I'm sure you women can go become the doctors or the lawyers or the accountants or the professionals that you studied to be while in college. If it is such a burden on you to continue to play basketball and earn a living in doing so. It is 10 minutes until 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Tennessee Men's Clinic wants to see you, gentlemen. If you're feeling sluggish or run down, if you've got low energy and you don't know why, perhaps it's your T level. It could be something else. Here's the deal. I know who can find out, and that is Tennessee Men's Clinic. Friends, when you walk through the doors of the Tennessee Men's Clinic, you're standing with professionals. Obviously, they are discreet to your situation, and they are knowledgeable about what's going on with you. Their qualified urologist will give you an examination, get a little blood work from you, and figure out what's happening. Is it T level? Because that's a naturally occurring issue where your T levels go down over time, and that can affect men like you. Matter of fact, it affects about half the men in the general population. And that can impact you in the bedroom. It can impact you at the gym. It can impact you in different ways as well. So let's get this solved, men, by calling the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com to find out additional information and make the call that so many others have made. 2 locations. One is in the Franklin area, the other original in Midtown. That number, 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for our friends at the Tennessee Men's Clinic.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Electricity standoff with Canada. That and more coming up at 5 on Super Talk at 99.7 WTN.
Yes, sir, Mr. Weaver. We got that on the way. We've got nincompoops in there. Are you aware that you're required to come up with a nincompoop, Mr. Fleming? I got one for you if you need one. There's always plenty.
Oh,
You got one?
I think I got one.
Okay.
I think I got one.
You know, originally I was thinking about the Nashville foot stomper as an nincompoop in the news. But you know what? I have a hard time making fun with the Nashville foot stomper because there were women that were permanently injured by that. I mean, we had a caller on the line.
Yeah.
That's bad news. But I am fascinated over these little quirks in various cities around the country. I mean, who knew? Old school folks know about the Nashville foot stomper.
Yeah.
Us neophytes, we got no clue. We got nothing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the heck's going on. But apparently this guy spent almost 15 years in jail because he couldn't stop stomping feet, and then came out of it, eventually stopped stomping feet, became a grandpa, and by 2002, he was in an undisclosed state, in an undisclosed location, didn't want anybody to know where he was, and that was in 2002. Now, I don't know where he is now. Might be dead, might still be alive.
Might be stomping around somewhere. We'll see.
A little foot stomping.
It's a little stomping.
Mike's got something to say about the WNBA in Old Hickory. Hey, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm well, Mike. I hope you are.
Do you know about the WWE, the Wrestling Federation?
Well, I know that they are an entertainment outlet, and they entertain folks by.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I mean they do. Yeah,
they do. Because you've been talking about the WNBA, that they haven't made a dime, but wrestling has made a fortune with WWE. It started out years ago. With Hulk Hogan and those guys. Remember those guys? They turned it into a powerhouse money-making thing.
Mm-hmm.
The women's basketball is never going to go anywhere because the NBA will not allow it. They don't want one dime of their revenues going to women's basketball. So here's what we do. Get a bunch of guys, transgender guys, whatever, and we start having a basketball tournament where the women get killed. Not killed, literally, but then all of a sudden it turns into a brawl on the basketball court, and it turns into a huge bonanza because you know why? People will watch it, and that's where the money goes.
Kind of like a Harlem Globetrotters deal.
Sort of a Harlem Globetrotter. We know it's fake. But it allows those women to make money, a lot of money.
Well, look, I mean, as far as it goes, I mean, the product apparently attracts some eyeballs. And thank you, Mike, for the call. I want to get to as many as I can. And it's not enough eyeballs to support the teams, but most of the teams are supported by NBA money. Or if not all of the teams support. And now, what fascinates me is that when they got a marketable product like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, they crapped all over the most marketable individual that they've had come across the WNBA in a long time. Garth is next up. What's up, Garth?
Hey, me again.
Hey, man.
I'm sorry for the confusion, and I realize I got cut off. I get so much grief about my first name.
I'm sorry, Garth. I should shut up about it. I shouldn't. Yeah. Hey, I don't want to, Garth. If you've got like 2 minutes, I don't want to rush you. But Mason starts playing the music. Don't blame Matt Murphy. I got no control. Mason has all the control here.
Yes, it's me, the bad guy.
And Mason is. But I want to make it up to you because I bet you get a lot of hell because of your first name, and I bet it's really, really tiresome. I get a lot of it for Matt Murphy. Matt Guitar Murphy. Blues Brothers.
Yep.
I get a lot of that, too. You Matt Guitar Murphy? No, I'm not Matt Guitar Murphy. I'm not dead and black.
He's Matt Mullet Murphy.
Used to be.
Used to be.
Cut that stuff off, baby. All right, we got 2 more hours to go on Super Talk.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We have the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Elon Musk says the X outages today are because of a massive cyber attack. he says, from a large coordinated group and or country. Canada slapping a new tariff on electricity it provides to the United States. Here's Sherry Preston.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says new rules will require any generator selling electricity to the U.S. to add an additional 25% surcharge starting now. The charge could mean an additional $69 added on to the bills of 1.5 million Americans in New York, Michigan, and Minnesota who currently buy their power from Canada. Ford says it doesn't matter that President Trump has postponed most Canadian tariffs. The electricity surcharge will remain.
Well, the Trump Education Department announcing 60 more universities under scrutiny for anti-Semitism after the alleged Columbia University pro-Palestine protest organizer Mahmoud Khalil was taken into custody by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, even though he has a green card to be here. President Trump claims Khalil is a radical foreign pro-Hamas student and said this is the first arrest of many to come. Secretary of State Marco Rubio posting, we will be revoking the visas and or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported. But moments ago, it was reported by the Associated Press, a federal judge in New York City has blocked deportation of the Columbia protest organizer until his case can be thoroughly reviewed. A legal setback for the Menendez brothers out in L.A. Former District Attorney George Gascon wanted the life without parole reduced to 50 years to life, which would have made the brothers eligible for parole immediately. But Zoreen Shaw says the new district attorney in L.A., Nathan Hochman, feels differently.
This morning, the bombshell decision surrounding the Menendez brothers case. The new LA district attorney saying he would oppose habeas corpus, the argument that the brothers did not get a fair trial in the 90s, and claiming the brothers have told 5 different versions of their story over the years.
We actually saw stuff that was lied about before the killings, at the time of the killings, and in the months and years afterwards.
The DA saying his team has done extensive research. And there is no evidence that a letter recently found from Eric to his cousin alleging he endured sexual abuse from his father is authentic or relevant for a new trial.
Yeah, the resentencing hearing is set for March 20th and 21st. That's in 10 days. Another government shutdown looming. Stephen Portnoy reports the House expected to vote tomorrow on a GOP-crafted spending bill. And the CDC plans to study whether vaccines cause autism. A spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services confirmed the effort in a statement over the weekend. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, over on the West Loop, TDOT reporting a crash blocking the left lane. That's going to be eastbound right before 65. And then 40 westbound before Charlotte Pike. Police reporting a crash on the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, the finest show going on radio on Super Talk 99.7 WTN at this time of the day. It is 5:07. Thank you for being around with us, whatever time you're able to give us. We're certainly appreciative. I'm like a prize fighter that's been beaten up viciously about the head and shoulders over the first several rounds of the fight, but I'm still standing. I'm still here, and I'm ready to go the distance. Let's go, baby. Mason Fleming's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as possible. Behind him in News Closet B is Ken Weaver. He gathers headlines. He delivers them twice an hour, and when news breaks, he jumps in.
Sometimes you can hear me typing.
I love it.
Sorry, man.
No, it's all good. It's all good. There was something going on in there, though. I don't know. It was a very important story. It's like the little teletype in the background. I feel like I need to be quiet and just let it go.
It says, all work and no play makes Ken a dull boy.
That's pretty good. I don't think that was the original. I think there was something different in The Shining, like in the book.
Yeah, in the book, I read the book, but I can't remember for sure. I'm sure it was different.
But it was, Kubrick changed it. I think that's right. He changed it to all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. It was something different in the book, and then he changed it. He made a lot of changes in that movie, but if you don't judge the movie against the book, both are better. That's my estimation. That's my book review and movie review.
That's the way to go, Brother Murphy.
Mm-hmm. On Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I got to get back to Garth. He's been waiting to talk about daylight saving time. I'd love to hear from you. Super Talk 99.7 WTN's number is 615-737-9986. You want to talk about the stock market? I mean, if you want to depress the audience, we can do that. Colby does. We'll get to you in a moment, Colby. Yeah, the market lost a lot today in all indices. 890 down. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was 890 down. The NASDAQ lost 727. And the S&P 500, 150. So we're in the red in all three major markets. Donald Trump over the weekend said, look, there's going to be a transition, an economic transition. Donald Trump believes that we need to cut the spending in government. And in doing so, you're going to cut into the economy in some degree. My question to all of the naysayers, all of the nitpickers, what are you doing about the $36 trillion we're in debt? This is unsustainable. You cannot keep it up. Tell me what your alternative plan is. What, you want a scalpel? Our good friend Cameron Smith wrote about this in the Tennessean, and for those who don't subscribe, I can get you beyond the paywall. I'm going to relate that article to you because I thought it was well-spoken, well said. He writes great words. His words were simple. Take the chainsaw and deal with the results because nothing else has worked prior to the chainsaw. All right, Garth is back up, and I may have just hung up accidentally on Colby, and if I did, I apologize. Colby, call us back. Garth, what's going on? Thank you for your call. Thank you for calling back.
Yeah, I'm here, man. Daylight savings time was originally about saving power. Back when industry was a lot stronger than U.S., it made more sense. It still does make sense. It's about peak demand and using that daylight when it comes, and about using in the winter times about using lights. You know, you don't want it to be dark till 8 a.m. in the winter because you're burning lots of lights you don't need to. Hence, in the summer, you want to get started and use that daylight as early as possible. You also want to finish your day as early as possible, use less air conditioning in the afternoon. There's reasons for it that are economic and involve power. So there is a reason for it to stay there. And thing is, people that want to keep daylight savings time year-round, they're going to be whining when it stays dark till 8 a.m. in December.
I won't.
You wait and see. Some people will.
So you, Garth, are advocating, it sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're advocating to continue the time change.
I am definitely.
Huh. You're the one.
Believe it or not, I think we should change it 4 times a year and go up to a maximum of 2 hours in midsummer and back 2 hours in the winter. So we change it 4 times.
So you want it light until
every quarter.
You want it light until
an hour every quarter.
You want it light in the middle of the summer until what? 9 o'clock, 9:30?
Sure, that's fine. But it really is about saving power. It's hard to explain on an economic sense, but it's about industry. It was far more important in the early days when they started, early 60s, they started this thing. And industry was much
So,
bigger.
wait, hold on. I got to break a few of these things down, Garth, and I just want to talk to you about it because I'm fascinated. Sure. I'm not fussing with you. I'm fascinated. You are one of the few people that I've ever met that advances the argument that we need to keep it like this. A lot of people argue for daylight saving time, and a lot of people argue for standard time. I've not met a lot of people that think, oh, this is good. So your argument in part is that it saves electricity, it saves power because people run their AC less?
That is one thing. People run their lights less in the winters. That's why we need to switch back in the winter. If we stayed on the summer's time, then you'd have the problem in the winter where everybody's coming in at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and they have to burn their lights until 8 a.m.
Wait a minute. People are coming in at 6:30 and it's been pitch dark for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So they're turning their light. They're turning their light. But if we hold on,
a lot more power during peak demand.
But Garth, listen to what I'm saying to you. In the wintertime, in the 3 months that we put it back on standard time, if you left it on daylight saving time, it would still be light when we get home, and we wouldn't turn our lights on when we got home. So we would save power that way.
Correct, but in the morning is when industry goes, and industry burns many more times the power that home.
Those industries don't change the time that they open their doors based on the clock on the wall. They keep the same time regardless, and they turn the lights on regardless.
Correct. But if it's dark, they've got to burn lights.
What industry turns the lights off because it's daytime?
People with skylights. There's skylights, and look at all these
Garth.
Look at the factories.
Well, you talk about manufacturing. You talk about come on, man. You talk about Garth.
Listen. People work outside in the lot.
I do not.
But outside, moving trucks around, loading trucks, they're doing it in the pitch black. They'd be doing it in the daylight.
Yeah, but they're doing it in the. Wait, hold on. Those same companies are doing it in the pitch black at 4:30 in the afternoon. That afternoon. So they have to turn their lights on earlier. No, listen to me. I'm being serious. They have to turn their lights on earlier. You can't make daylight by changing the clock. So those people hold on, listen, Garth. Those people that have the light at 8 o'clock in the morning don't have the light at 4:30 in the afternoon.
There are people that actually believe that by changing the clocks, we change the daylight.
We can't make daytime.
That changes by nature. But we can take advantage of that change and start our day a little earlier or start our day a little later. And it makes a difference on a nationwide basis. It makes a difference in industry if you add it up.
Nope. Garbage. Hey, by the way, LED lights make this argument almost non-existent.
Yeah. Look, I told you that it made a lot more sense in early days of industry It makes a little less sense now, but it's still safe.
All right, if I made you, but Garth, I'm curious about this because I don't begrudge you the argument and I don't begrudge you your position. I'll argue with you, but I don't begrudge you. But let me ask you this.
No, that's fine. No,
it's all good.
Great.
I like it. So if I made you pick one, though, I said, Garth, you have been nominated by King Donald Trump, and you are going to pick which one we go to, but you got to pick one. Which one you going with?
I'll take a half hour toward daylight savings time, not the full hour.
See, I've long. Well, that's a little out. I like that, a little loophole. But I've long advocated for that, actually, Garth. And people get mad because they say that we'll be on the half hour when the rest of the world's on the hour. And I think
the rest of the world isn't. There are several countries that are on the half hour, and there's one weird country over in Indonesia that's on 45 minutes. And I can't remember which one that is, but not everybody goes, not everybody switches. There's parts of Indiana that didn't used to switch. There's a couple of states in the U.S.
Arizona's one of them, yeah. Arizona never switched.
So they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to do what the vast number of people want it to do, and so it's really out of our hands.
Well, I just want to go to one and keep it. Garth, great call. I'm glad you called back. Do it anytime. Loved sparring with you. Your thoughts on the time change. Listen, I just want to go to one and stay there. I would greatly prefer to stay on the one that keeps it light a little bit later in the wintertime. I do not concern myself with it getting being dark at 8 o'clock in the morning as much as some. Although, I don't know. What is the worst that it gets in Nashville, Tennessee? I mean, we're on Central Time in the middle of the winter. I mean, what's the worst that it gets? Like now, 7:15?
Yeah.
7 o'clock?
I was like, if that, yeah.
What's that? The sun going down?
I'm talking about the sun going up. So the sun coming up, what is the latest that the sun currently comes up in the winter? I don't know the answer to that question because it would be an hour. If we stayed on daylight saving time, it would be an hour later than that. So if it's 7, it would be 8.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out the latest that it would get light. Now, I know that some people out in Detroit, Michigan, and some other places, I mean, y'all got a lot bigger problems than daylight saving time if you live in Detroit, Michigan, but they are on Eastern time, and they're way in the middle of the country on Eastern time. And what they're saying is that it would not get light until like 8:40. Which, okay, I mean, I get it. I mean, look, some places going to get screwed. I mean, it doesn't get dark in England in the winter until like 11 o'clock at night or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, so in some places you're going to get a little screwed over. I don't know what to tell you about that. Colby wants to talk about the stock market. Let's get depressed, Colby, at least for the day.
Yeah, it was pretty bad today. I mean, I was looking up at valuation total that the United States and businesses lost today is $1 trillion, which is, as you know, about 1/37th of the total debt in one day. I think it's going to get far worse. I think you're going to actually see unemployment around 7 to 7.5%.
Well, you're only losing that money if you sell, right?
Correct, but it's the valuations of companies, which we already know the market was inflated based off Biden and the numbers that they gave, which were false numbers regarding unemployment and everything else through 4 years, which created inflation, which created hyperinflation, in my opinion. And now you're seeing the market doing correcting itself, which is actually, with the interest rates not changing, not going down, the Fed's not planning on really doing much other than maybe a quarter of a point, you're actually going to see unemployment rise. I mean, Trump's getting rid of illegals. Those jobs are going to be freed up, yes, but who's going to take those jobs? I mean, honestly, and when you get down to it, I think it's going to get a lot worse. And I think we're going to see something that we haven't seen since the 1940s.
And I mean, I'm not trying to be overly simplistic when I ask you this, Colby, but why do you think that?
A combination and a culmination of things. 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP is a recession, right? And yet Biden said it never was. I mean, they disagreed with it.
Yeah, recession by definition is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, right?
And we're about to see at the end of March what this quarter was. And if you remember what last quarter was, it was declining. So you're about to see the second consecutive quarter of declining GDP, which is going to create the recession along with unemployment. And then if you factor in the stock market, it's a culmination of a perfect storm, in my opinion, of things. I don't want this. I think Trump's it's going to, like he said, it's going to be a blessing in disguise. It's going to be painful at first, but if we can outlast Canada and Mexico and some of the other trade partners, we've got deeper pockets than they do, then we'll be fine. But if we give in, I think it's going to create a really bad problem.
You think everything that's happening with the market is tariff-based?
I think people are panic selling because they think it's tariff-based. I don't think it is tariff-based. I think it's an overcorrection of what stocks were. They were inflated. I think you see some of these people that have a lot more money right now, these billionaires, that are going to start shorting the market, which is also going to create more panic from the individuals with their 401ks and their Roth IRAs.
Well, I don't pretend to be a market expert, but I like to say that when we talk stock markets, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm offering any sort of advice, because I'm certainly not. But I do know people, and I have been around the block long enough to know that the market hates uncertainty, and I think that's what they're dealing with when it comes to the tariffs right now. They also are attempting to anticipate what they see coming down the road regarding the contraction of government. The government, if looked at as a business, is a big business, one of the biggest businesses on the globe, right? And if you look at it as a business in terms of paying out their employees, and those employees in turn use that money to buy trade and whatnot, then that's a major contraction in the American economy. And I think that's some of what the stock market's doing. But I learned a long time ago that if you look to the stock market day to day to attempt to gauge the health of the economy, it's kind of a fool's errand. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Colby, but I just warn people against looking at day-to-day fluctuations within the market, particularly when there's this much volatility based on uncertainty, and suggesting that long-term, that is an indicator that we're about to go into some sort of depression.
I mean, if you look at the stock market over the last 50 years, and you look at a graph and you see how exponentially it's grown, just look at a bar chart or a line graph. It's insane the amount of growth that's happened. What's that attributing to? More jobs, more people, a growing population in the country. And your small dips were, the 2008 mortgage crisis. COVID had a small dip. We came back up out of it. But the government gave a bunch of money in COVID, okay? They gave COVID relief checks to, I think almost every American got some type of money. Businesses got COVID relief. They didn't have to pay stuff back. That's now coming through twofold to affect Americans in the long run. I think all that created inflation, created more money in the market. Some people used it to buy stuff. Some people used it to save, invest. But now you've got just a perfect storm brewing, and I think it's about to hit. I think, and mark my words, I think in June to July this year, you're going to see 7 to 7.5% unemployment.
Well, are you gonna call us back if it doesn't happen?
I will. I'll admit if I'm wrong.
Well, but these types of predictions, are one. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Colby, is it not easy to make those sorts of predictions? I don't know. As a matter of fact, I'll just hold my water because I won't be disrespectful. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. And I don't know. Who knows what will happen over the next 6 months? Maybe we'll be in the greatest depression on the history of the face of the earth. Maybe the economy will be fine. Maybe Matt Murphy will get another haircut. I don't know. It's 24 after the hour on Super Talk. There is a great location in the middle of Franklin called Savory Spice. It's a business that's been in operation for some years now, and they are so good at what they do. They help provide you food on the table for you and your family, cooked right there in your kitchen. And if you're not adept in the kitchen. May I tell you, the Spice and Easy line, what a great inception. What a great invention, right? They put all of the different spices that you need right there in the packaging. They tell you exactly what you have to buy for that food right there on the back. You go to the store, you buy the, cut of meat. Like, I like to use the example Sunday pot roast because everybody loves Sunday pot roast. You put the pot roast in the crock pot, you put the veggies and stuff there, you put all the spices in. You don't have to worry about it. It takes care of the rest, does the Spice and Easy line. So that's great, right? For those of you that don't know your way around the kitchen. If you know your way around the kitchen, odds are you're already at Savory Spice because they're the best in the business when it comes to providing spices for you and your family. Go by and see them in Franklin, just off the square. Tell Holly and David I said hello, and don't forget the one and only Savory Spice online and right there in Franklin. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice.
A federal judge in New York City has stopped deportation of the organizer of the pro-Palestine protests at Columbia University. This story and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm trying to figure out where I'm at on that, and I'm going to talk about it here in just a moment. So the First Amendment means something to me. I'm in the First Amendment business. I don't believe that we should be in the business of forcing people to leave our country who are legally here based on things they say, unless and until you can demonstrate to me that they are inciting others to violence or riots, and I could be convinced that that's happening in this case. I could also be convinced that you are acting on what is a privilege based on your immigration status, not on your right as an American citizen or as a permanent legal alien of this country. I'm going to work through that here in just a moment. Ken Weaver's got the news, and we'll be back with you right after it. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hang in there.
5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Well, the Dow tanked again today. The Dow down 890 points with all the uncertainty surrounding tariffs. Speaking of tariffs, Canada today slapped a 25% tax on the electricity, which Ontario provides to 1.5 million Americans in Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. This is to hit back at tariffs President Trump's imposing on Canada in a month. It's expected to raise monthly rates for those Americans by an additional $69. A federal judge in New York City is blocking deportation of the organizer of the Columbia University pro-Palestine protests, which the Trump administration says led to harassment of Jewish students. That's why Trump wants Mahmoud Khalil out of the country, saying Khalil's arrest is just the first of many to come. But that federal judge in New York City saying, hold on, let's look at this case closer because Khalil does have a green card. X is under cyber attack, according to owner Elon Musk. There's been numerous outages today. Musk says it was done with a lot of resources, suggesting a large coordinated group and or country is involved. And here in Tennessee, we have learned encouraging news about the East Nashville woman who took a bullet in the chest while laying in bed after a drive-by shooting outside the duplex where she lives. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac reporting this morning.
Metro police are still trying to piece this one together. Right now, they are working to determine why this home may have been targeted. But here's what we know so far. We know at least 16 shots were fired along Trutling Place just after 11 o'clock. Those bullets went into two sides of a duplex, striking a woman in the chest as she was lying in her bed. Officers had to break into a window to get to her. The other side of the duplex was also hit, but the two people living in there were not hurt.
Neighbors reported hearing gunshots and then squealing tires, so there's no suspect information at this time. But Channel 4 says they have learned through the woman's daughter that doctors told her as her mother was going into surgery, she was going to be okay. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, I don't see anything blocking the interstates. The only thing we have going on is some of that drive home brake tapping that we usually have this time of day, but I've definitely seen it heavier. Right now, we do have a little bit of buildup northbound 65 to get 240 downtown. And then it's backed up trying to go 440 eastbound over to 24 and 40. And then the usual brake tapping eastbound 24 down to Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. I want to talk to you about my buddy Shane Ring at Cover Nash, located right here in Middle Tennessee. He's the local expert when it comes to not only opting into health plans, but also becoming educated about when you need to leave. When you book your appointment with Shane, you can either do it on the phone or in person there in Brentwood. He will go over all of the available health plan options in the market and help you shop for coverage based on your health insurance, based on your health, and based on your financial need. No more call center agents wasting your time or bills that you were never told you were going to get. Shane Ring is going to help you at Cover Nash. He's going to teach you how you can actually earn money based on your health plan and your health policy. Shane will also show you how to access in real time the cost of medical procedures and the visits that you need to utilize to comparison shop prices from different providers. It's all about understanding the system and understanding how to best utilize it to benefit yourself. It is managed by you, not by the government, not by anybody else. You. 615-465-0023. 465-0023 or go to covernash.com. It is 5:37, almost 5:38. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Get to your calls momentarily. Tommy's on the road. I lost my daylight saving time caller. That is too bad. Maybe the time got away from her. Hello. That's right. That's right.
I love it.
We were talking about the Nashville foot stomper earlier, and several of you on the Super Text line have mentioned that y'all. Wherever he is now, he's in a different state. Maybe still alive. We don't know. He was in the 2000s alive. But if he's alive and does have grandkids, you think he calls Church Street his old stomping grounds? No? I mean, the poor woman that called, Debbie called.
Yeah.
And she said her foot still hurts from 1973.
Yeah.
That's 50 years ago. And she's still got foot problems.
She says it still swells up to this day.
A foot stomper was no joke, man. No joke. I'll tell you who's also no joke. That's Tulsi Gabbard. She has announced security clearance revocation for a number of individuals formerly in the Biden administration, to include Anthony Blinken, the former Secretary of State, Jake Sullivan, Lisa Monaco, Mark Zaid, Norman Eisen, Levita James, Alvin Bragg, and many, many more. Also, the 51 signers of the Hunter Biden disinformation letter that was a huge, big lie. All of them have had their security clearances revoked under the current Trump administration and the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. In the meantime, I'm very curious where you are on the issue of this dude out of Manhattan who has been removed, or the attempt is being made to remove him from the United States of America. Now, Tommy, hang in. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to get to Tommy real quick, then we're going to get to nincompoops. Tommy, I don't want you to hold through this, and I appreciate your patience. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, sir.
The judge that's blocking that is not doing good for the American people, because the radical Muslims, it ain't no big secret, they're trying to call jihad. I mean, to do away with the Christians and the Muslims, and the Christians and the Jews both. Why would you want those people in there? I believe in free speech. Do not get me wrong. I believe in free speech completely. But when you're talking about doing away with a group of people, that's not right, especially here in America, I mean, what's that judge going to do when he blocks that off and they do cause trouble, and people start, the regular people start acting on that Second Amendment? I mean, that Second Amendment gives the American people teeth.
Well, let's talk about this for a second, because the individual in question is supposedly a green card holder, right, which gives that person legal permanent status. Now, the green card can be revoked, but it has to be revoked for specific reasons. So are you willing to prevent American citizens from talking bad about the Jews, Tommy?
Yeah, we should all stop talking bad about each other.
Well, things that we should or should not do, and things that are or are not criminal in nature. That's where I kind of draw the line.
Hate speech is more or less a crime. I mean, I'm sorry, it sounds right.
Not in my world.
Pull it on the white people.
Hey, what speech are we protected if not speech that that disgusts us?
Right. I got you on that. I mean, it's a difficult question.
Oh, it is.
But
But
then it's kind of simple. Do you put two fighting dogs together in the same pen? I mean, really, common sense.
So
dogs that don't like each other. You can't put them in the same pen. They're going to fight.
Well, I don't pretend that it's a clear, bright line, but it's a great way to introduce the topic, Tommy. Keep listening, and I'll tell you what, I'll suspend rule number 1, which is call only once per day. And if you want to call back, I'll give you an opportunity to do that because I'm going to get into this topic here in just a second. The idea of intentionally inciting people to violence can be not so clear and bright. And I disagree with the idea of individuals being able to clearly and distinctly incite others to violence. Obviously, you can't commit violence against other people. You can't harm the rights of other people. Where do your free speech rights end with regard to the incitement to violence? That's what this is all about. And I'm in the free speech business. It's what I do for a living. There are people in this country that would kick me off the radio if they had the opportunity and never allow Matt Murphy to speak on the radio again publicly. Now, is that what you want? I don't think that's what we want. So we'll get into it in a moment. It's 53 after the hour. Right now, it is high time that, because you know what the news is. We've heard the bad news about the stock market. We've heard some of the news about this case out of New York. We've heard that Donald Trump's doing his dead level best to shrink the size and scope of government. We've heard that USAID has been cut by 83%. You know what the news is. It is high time that we got to the nincompoops in the news that I didn't talk to Mason Fleming about, and he has no idea what we're doing. No idea. I thought you did. I thought I had your eyeballs on it.
I forgot there's a sounder for it and everything.
Wait for me, Raj, and rerun. Wait.
I'll tell you what. Don't worry. I've got you.
I appreciate it. Careful with that. We might get copyright claimed with that one.
Mm-hmm. There you go. You forgot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You'll remember tomorrow. Hey, do you have a nincompoop?
I think I feel like one right now.
Oh, no. You're no nincompoop. You're a smart fella. If you have a nincompoop, I'll let you go first. Otherwise, I'll go first and let you figure out your nincompoop.
If you want to go first, I won't stop you.
Does that mean you don't have a nincompoop either?
I have one.
I feel like I told you to get a nincompoop.
I think I got one.
I mean, I think
I got one.
I thought I said it earlier.
You did.
I'm not trying to be a jerk here.
I just want to make sure I'm on the same wavelength.
I just don't want everybody to think that I'm being the jerk because I gave him the heads up like an hour ago.
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, hey, Mason, you need to get a nincompoop.
Yeah,
you know that?
Yeah.
You
let me know.
Remember when I said that?
You let me know.
I wasn't calling you a nincompoop.
No.
All right. I have one.
Lay it on me.
I just got to find it.
Wow. So you don't have one?
No, I do have one. It's just I've got 28 stories here, Mason. I'm actually
working for a living.
See, you're trying to drag me. Where is it? It's my Chattanooga story.
How are those headphones?
They're off my game. Eyewitnesses on Saturday. This is a state nincompoop, man.
Ooh.
A state nincompoop out of Chattanooga. Eyewitnesses on Saturday afternoon say a would-be purse snatcher. This is Saturday, March 1st. So 9 days ago. Eyewitnesses Saturday afternoon, March 1st, said a would-be purse snatcher chose the wrong place to carry out his misdeed. An eyewitness of the incident said that an elderly woman was observed being attacked by a young man in the parking lot across from the Dollar Tree in Chattanooga. In an effort to steal the purse and other personal items from the woman, the young man forcibly threw her to the ground and then attempted to flee with her property. Now, the woman, for her part, was interviewed by local television and said, I was not going to go down without a fight, so I was grabbing and screaming and yelling as best I could. The suspect was going to get away. However, he chose as the location of his assault an area right across the street from the local Chattanooga Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
Oh, no.
And the Jiu-Jitsu elites saw what was happening outside of their window and jumped into action. I'm not making this up. On behalf of the frantic woman, an eyewitness said that as the man attempted to go get away, several longtime members of the Chattanooga Jiu-Jitsu Academy came to the aid of the woman, while others pursued the attacker and attempted to retrieve her belongings and bring the young man to justice. The suspect was successfully restrained until the Chattanooga Police Department arrived at the scene and took him into custody. I'd like to point out how grateful the community is, in particular to the quick response of the CPD, but also to the responsiveness of the members of the Chattanooga Jiu-Jitsu Academy that immediately came to the aid of this woman who was attacked. Well done, and thank you to the individuals that stepped up and responded impressively, and the dude that tried to steal this woman's purse for that reason alone, and secondarily for trying to do it in front of the jiu-jitsu school. You, sir, are a nincompoop.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, man, that's pretty rough wrestling.
That's pretty.
They'll get you.
Hey, let me give you the old jiu-jitsu. You ready?
Yeah.
Hiya! See? Scared you, didn't you?
Oh, I was looking for the song, and he will.
Oh, yeah!
Oh.
Ken Weaver?
Yes, sir.
Who's your nincompoop?
Right now in Alabama, an Odenville man is behind bars after he allegedly assaulted an umpire during a friendly game of softball in Hoover.
Oh, no.
26-year-old Michael Seals charged with third-degree assault on a sports official, which is a Class C felony in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Seals got mad when he was called out on a play and allegedly attacked the umpire as an officiating crew tried to get him to leave the field. The 51-year-old umpire was left with minor but visible injuries. Finally, a group of witnesses were able to convince Seals to leave, but he was taken into custody during a traffic stop a short time later. Seals is being held in the Hoover City Jail. Will be transferred to the Shelby County Jail in Alabama, where he will be held on a $5,000 bond. Here's the deal. This Class C felony, the minimum amount of time you do is a year and a day in jail.
Holy moly.
In Alabama.
Oh, yeah. They don't play.
They don't play. And he could do 10 years. This is all over a little softball game, Mr. Seals.
You know what I call that guy right there?
A nincompoop.
A nincompoop. He's also probably a former Murphy Show listener. I'm not kidding. I probably know that dude. That was my old stomping ground. Hoover, Helena.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
I might have played softball with him back in the day. He might have been on the team that I was playing against when I hurt my shoulder, as a matter of fact.
This apparently was like a league thing, a recreational softball game, and he did not appreciate getting called out.
You cannot attack Blue. You got to leave Blue. I mean, yell at him all you want.
Sure.
But don't touch Blue.
No.
Good gracious alive. Mr. Mason Fleming.
That's me.
Your nincompoop story, sir.
Mine is actually a personal story that I have of a coworker that I worked with
a couple of hours ago.
No, not
couple
at this.
Couple of minutes ago.
No, not on the radio station. In my valet job that I've talked about extensively throughout the couple of years that I've been here, we're working in front of the Symphony of all places, and we have a line down the road, plenty of cars.
What symphony is it?
The Nashville Symphony, right up the road here.
Right. What's that called? I can't say it. That's why I'm to make it up. It's the Schmimmerhorn, isn't it?
Yep.
It's the
Skimmerhorn.
Skirmerhorn.
Skirmer? Is it the Skirmerhorn?
Skirmerhorn.
Oh, well, I'm going to believe
I always call it the Skimmerhorn.
I was going to mess with you because I've been to the place. It's beautiful. It's lovely facility. Couldn't pronounce it.
I'll never know. Every time I see it on my schedule, I'm like, the what?
Weaver just popped it right off like he's been practicing. The Schmimmerhorn.
That's impressive.
Anyway,
that's impressive.
The symphony. Yes.
All these people in nice gowns and nice suits trying to get inside, see a nice little show. One of my one of the guys I was training at the time, brand new, said he'd been driving cars for years.
Oh, yeah.
Had his license for quite a few times.
Oh, I can drive a stick.
Yeah, I'm fine. Said he was a master at parallel parking.
Oh,
yeah.
A master.
A master.
Oh, well.
Bragged about it.
Oh, good for you.
When we started to get built up with nicer cars, we had nobody else to park this Porsche 911 that pulled up on our drive in front of the Symphony there.
Nice
And I said, hey, just pull right up there, right up front, just parallel park it in front of those cars for me. He said, I got you. I have never seen a man take 15 minutes just to get it to face the opposite direction so he could back it in and still get it wrong. I had to pull him out after another 5 minutes.
Did you shame him? You make him do the walk of shame?
I said, go back. This is taking too much time. We had 14 cars to take off to the parking garage.
Oh. No, but as he walks away in shame, I'm
Exactly.
a master parallel parker.
And I said, bro, just tell me you can't do it.
I mean, yeah, that's all
We
good.
slid into the spot, moved on with the rest of the night. I did not let him park another car up top the rest of the time.
That's way to go, Brother Mason.
There you go.
You know what we call that?
Nincompoop.
A nincompoop.
You know, it reminds me, have you seen the video where the woman is trying to parallel park the car? I mean, this is on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. She's trying to parallel park, and she can't do it, man. And it's a surveillance camera from across the street. And finally, a woman walks, and there's two cars, one on the front, one on the back. She's trying to get in the middle.
Yeah.
And a woman finally walks up to her, and it says something to her, and she's obviously offering her assistance to parallel park. And so she gets her in there, and she kills her, and she's telling her to cut it, and they're like working together as a team.
Yes, sir.
Moving forward.
And the woman finally parallel parks it. And then as she gets done, the woman that was helping her gets in the car in the back. Like she's in the car. She gets in one of the cars that the woman's parking between and drives off. I'm like, why didn't you just do that to begin with?
She wanted to give her the sense of the accomplishment there.
I guess.
I don't know,
Anyway.
man.
All right, 615-737-9986. That's how you play, and that's how you vote. You vote online as to who has the nincompoop of the day. Is it Ken Weaver? Is it the new Mason Fleming, who just barely came up with a story? They pulled it right out of his tuchus. Or is it me, Matt Murphy? You vote, and we'll tell you the results in a moment. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk. Oh, now you have it. Oh, now we got it. There you go. I didn't know you had it. There you go. That's how we play Nincompoops in the News. 53 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Quick timeout. When we return, free speech or not free speech? Deportation or no deportation? I want to talk about this deal out of New York City. We'll do that next on Super Talk. Healthcare should be affordable. It should be convenient, and it should be comprehensive medicine. It's all of those things at Grace Point Healthcare. Plus, with a direct pay format, that means that you don't have to depend on insurance companies to get you the care that you need from your primary care physician, and you should never depend on these things. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family. At Grace Point, there's no long wait times in the waiting rooms. With winter here, you might have cold and flu season. February is a big month. March is a big month, believe it or not. Well, if you've got a cold, if you've got the flu, you don't need to wait to see your provider. Let's get in with Grace Point today or tomorrow, because oftentimes that is all the wait is going to be. You don't have to wait weeks on end. That does no good for anybody. Plus, if you're too sick to come into the office, they'll see you at home. That's right. Grace Point even does house calls. Grace Point Healthcare, I encourage you to talk with them about the way that they do their business. It's different than anyone else. Ask them about their care plan, their smart care plan, $69 a month, and you get all the visits that you want throughout the entire year. 599-6868. That's 599-6868. It's Grace Point Healthcare.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Another down day on Wall Street with all the uncertainty from tariffs. The Dow off by 890 points today, 890 points. Here in Tennessee, the State House has passed a bill that could bar people from buying soda and candy with SNAP benefits. It still has to make it through the state Senate. Elon Musk says X is under attack. There have been multiple outages today. Musk saying the cyber attack from a large coordinated group and or country. Canada's put a 25% tariff on electricity. It provides about 1.5 million Americans in Minnesota, New York, and Michigan, meaning an additional $69 a month to power their homes. Meanwhile, as the tit-for-tat tariffs continue, Alexis Christoforous looked into recession risks for America.
I actually spoke with the chief economist at Moody's today, Mark Zandi, who says that the recession risk is growing. He now puts it at 35% versus 15% for a recession early next year. He says this could happen if the Trump tariffs are put in place and remain there for at least a few months.
Right now in our nation's capital, jackhammer crews removing the big black and yellow letters designating Black Lives Matter Plaza to make way for what will be called Liberty Plaza instead. If it stays Black Lives Matter Plaza, D.C.'s mayor says they risk losing federal funding. The Vatican says the Pope's condition continues to be stable, and as a result, his doctors have decided to lift what they call his guarded prognosis. And as the 88-year-old pontiff approaches the 12th anniversary as head of the Catholic Church, there are questions whether he may step down. Tom Sufi Burridge is at the Vatican.
There's no indication that Pope Francis is going to resign. That is completely not on the table at all, and not talked about here in the Vatican at all. I think it's important to underline that Pope Francis is confined to his hospital room for now. There's no indication of when he might hopefully be discharged from hospital, but he is still working from his hospital room, according to the Vatican. He has been joining Vatican business and meetings via video link.
The new district attorney in Los Angeles, Nathan Hochman, doesn't think Eric and Lyle Menendez meet the threshold for being released from prison for the 1989 murder of their parents, and he thinks they've lied multiple times about the case. However,
district attorney's office, if it is presented with these new insights, unequivocal, sincere acknowledgments of all the lies they have told for the past over 30 years, we too, in the district attorney's office, will reconsider whether or not we would want to go forward with a resentencing motion.
Now, the resentencing hearing is set for 10 days from now. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. I am not seeing anything in the way of crashes on the interstates right now. In fact, traffic is looking really light heading home. We do have a little bit of brake tapping going on in the usual places. Eastbound 24 all the way down over there to Thompson Lane. Right now, it looks like there is a backup if you're going westbound on the South Loop downtown. Looks like there may be a stalled vehicle right after 24. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Based on the last 5 minutes of my life, I regret being back on Facebook. You know, I want to, these people that make these reels or these Instagram posts, they're all cutesy and whatever. I you know, at first, I suppose I allowed it, you know, in terms of mentally, like, okay, that's fine. Now we're getting to the point where they're showing us how they're making them. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I just want to hit them all in their faces.
Right.
Every single one of them. I want to hit them in their face.
Yeah, I want for Facebook to offer me a way to not ever see anyone's reels.
Bingo. Bingo. Now you're talking, Weaver.
If I want to see them, give me an option. But if I don't, give me that option too.
But because Facebook Meta owns Instagram, right?
Yes.
So if I want to go see that garbage, that's the place to go to it.
Right.
Why do I have to deal with why am I doing that on Facebook?
Yeah.
I mean, we're two grumpy old men on the front porch, Ken, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't for some reason, seeing the finished product is annoying enough, but watching them show me how they make it makes me want to I don't know what I want to do. I want to commit some sort of act of violence that I can't talk about on the radio.
No, you can't do that, Brother Murphy.
Hey, Ken, how about that spring break traffic? Well, now, there's a bonus.
Let me tell you something, boys. It is time to go home right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the only thing I'm seeing is it looks like we have a stalled vehicle going westbound on the South Loops, kind of backing things up there over to 24.
That's nice.
But other than that, man, it is... there's a lot of green on the interstates out there.
Looks good.
Oh,
looks
it
good.
does.
I hope all of y'all enjoy your spring break. Maybe that's why the shows felt weird today. Maybe it's not the fact that I lost my headphones early on in the show and I had to put new headphones on, and that means people have moved my cheese all around, and I don't like it.
Right.
I don't like any of that. Maybe it's not because Mason has screwed everything up. Maybe that's not the reason. That the show feels weird.
Hey, I'm just saying,
Mason.
They all are blinking buttons. I don't know which ones to push.
I joke because I love. Maybe it's because it's spring break and that has everybody upside down. Now,
maybe because it's spring break when it's not spring.
It's not spring.
It's not spring.
And that's kind of what started the show. That and the Nashville Foot Stomper, which got a lot of attention. If you want to call about the Nashville Foot Stomper, so be it. We had a Stomp-E, a victim of the Stomper. And if you did not hear what we're talking about the first hour, this is something that I learned about. And I couldn't wait to tell you about it because I love that hidden history in a city.
Oh, yeah.
Every city has some hidden history, some little, only the people that were there during the day know about. And apparently this was a guy that was attacking women who were wearing open-toed shoes on Church Street primarily from the late 60s to 1985. And they had to make him leave in 1985. They had to tell him, you got to get out of town. And the Foot Stomper was known to residents around that time. As a matter of fact, in 2000, there was a woman by the name of, let me find her name. Kaladimas was her last name. And if I can scroll up in the article far enough, I suppose that I will get to her first name. Demetria Kaladimas is a documentarian, and she was the writer, producer, and director of a film, an hour-long film, which made its debut at the Nashville Independent Film Festival in 2001 or 2002 called Injurious George. Like Curious George, Injurious George. And it was about George Mitchell, who was known as the Nashville Foot Stomper. And if you're wondering, if you did not catch the beginning of the show, perhaps you were one of the few that were at work and now you're in your car. George Mitchell, between the 1966, is the first known accusation of Mitchell stomping a woman's feet. A woman from Greenbrier accused him of stomping her foot 3 times at 3 different stores on Nashville's Church Street. He was sentenced to a year in the state training school. He was released. He then began stepping up his attacks. Police couldn't keep up. In 1968, he was arrested for 1 charge before police could process 2 other claims. By this time, Mitchell was 19 years of age. He would spend most of his youth in jail, emerging only to stomp again, sometimes within minutes of his release. In the Greyhound bus depot in 1983, he strode in after midnight wearing a 3-piece suit, a red rose on his lapel, and stomped 3 women before running out as a security guard chased him. Victims told Calademus he would apologize profusely after the stomping. He said the experience gave him no pleasure. His stomach would clench. His body would shake. Next thing he'd know, he'd be stomping and going to jail. I'd rather be dead than stomp on another woman's feet, he told the Tennessean in 1985, but it's uncontrollable. Why did he do it? Psychiatrists that Calademus interviewed have several answers: obsessive-compulsive disorder, intermittent explosive disorder, and, not surprisingly, a foot fetish involved. No doubt there was a racial component as well, as many of Mitchell's victims were not just white women, but specifically blonde white women. Mitchell himself said that he stomped his fair share of black women's feet too. The difference was the black women didn't prosecute him. But enough women would prosecute him that Mitchell was branded a public nuisance. He was unemployable in North Nashville. And in 1985, Calademus learned he was basically run out of town by prosecutors and police who made it clear that if he stuck around, he would face hard prison time. And then he left and receded from the city's headlines, the city's broadcasts, and the city's memory, until Calademus brought him back up in her documentary, which aired some 23 years or so ago at the Nashville Independent Film Festival. Anyway, I found out about it because I got back on Facebook and someone alerted me to, said, have you heard about this, the Nashville Foot Stomp? I had not heard about it, and so I started reading about it. I was fascinated by it, and I hope you are as well. All that to say, we had a woman, Debbie, who called in, and it was sad. I mean, it's funny until you realize that people got actually injured. I mean, hurt. Like, this guy wasn't just stepping on people's toes. He was stomping and grinding on their feet to the point that a previous caller, Debbie, said that she was a victim of the Nashville Foot Stomper, and it still hurts 50 years later. 50 years later, she was stomped in 1973 as a student at Belmont. So if Mitchell is still alive, if my math is correct, he was born in 1949, 51, 61, 71. I mean, he would be like 75 years old, but it's still possible that he's alive. As of 2002, for those interested, the documentarian Calademus, she remains coy as to whether or not she found George Mitchell. The story gets better. Earlier this year, this is in 2002, Calademus said, in fact, that she did find him. She claimed that she had an opportunity to sit down with him in 2002, 23 years ago, face-to-face for a 2.5-hour interview. He was a delightful person, a gentleman, clever, knows how to keep you engaged in conversation. He was concerned about offending me. His one stipulation was that the film not reveal his whereabouts. He's out of the state and not in jail. That's all he will say. And said he was a grandfather at that point and had not given in to his compulsion in years. So there you go, Foot Stomper. Now, on to more serious matters. I don't know what to think about this case, but I'm curious what you think about it. We're going to try to work through this together. We have a legal immigration system in the United States of America, and we expect that those that come into our country will respect our laws and respect our values. But those values, that's an issue that can get a little bit tricky. Recently, earlier today, a judge in Manhattan ruled that an anti-Israel agitator by the name of Mahmoud Khalil is not to be deported, quote, unless and until the court orders otherwise. That, according to one federal judge in Manhattan today. Khalil, who had previously led anti-Israel protests and encampments on Columbia University's campus, was taken into custody on the Upper West Side in New York City over the weekend. The Department of Homeland Security said that he was a former Columbia graduate student, and I don't have any word as to whether or not he graduated, but set that aside for a minute. He was a former Columbia graduate student who led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. The judge ordered a hearing for this Wednesday. This after Khalil's lawyer argued their client had been detained illegally and should be released. Politicians are speaking out against the detainment and in defense of Khalil, the usual suspects like squad member Rashida Tlaib, amongst others. In a post published to Instagram yesterday, Tlaib wrote that it was dangerous to allow our government to target people based on political speech. Everyone should be concerned about this. I wonder where you are on this. There is a distinction between inciting individuals to violence against a person or groups of people and your ability to express your opinion about groups of people. I've long said that I don't believe in hate speech laws, and I don't. I believe that we should prosecute individuals that commit acts of violence against others or do things that would deny others their rights to life, liberty, their own pursuit of happiness, and their basic constitutional rights, and in addition, the basic rights that are afforded to them by the various state constitutions, local municipalities, and the like. Pardon me. I had to sneeze. Those of you watching on Supertalk TV watched me do it, but you did not hear me do it. Gesundheit. It gets tricky in as much as Khalil was allowed into the country via a green card. He was not on a student visa, which can be more easily revoked. It is not believed that Khalil has violated any law, at least any law that I can figure out, except that he is speaking in favor of Hamas, what is a designated terrorist organization. I would argue that that gets a little bit squishy. I would further argue that I don't believe in a government powerful enough to shut you down based on the way that you're talking about activities that the American government is engaging in overseas or activities involving other nations and their engagement in conflicts overseas either. Now, actions mean something, and if you're violating the rules of conduct on the campus of Columbia University, that's one thing. If you're violating the laws of the city of New York or the state of New York, that's another thing. If you're violating the laws of the United States of America, that's a third. But if you are speaking against your country and not inciting others to violence, that's something different. And I believe that is protected. The very nature of the First Amendment of the Constitution protects that kind of activity. Now, if you want to argue, and I understand that there are some of you that do, I've not seen the evidence as of yet, and I'm waiting to see it. I want to see it. And if you show me the evidence that he was inciting others to violence, if he was inciting individuals to violence against the Jewish people, against students at Columbia, against the American people, against Israel generally, well, that's another thing, too. I disagree with the idea of putting people in jail based on things that they say or things that they write. There is a line that you can cross, however, and that line involves specifically inciting others to engaging in violence against individuals or groups of people. I do not believe that it is just as easy to say, to hell with them, he's a Muslim, he hates Jews, get him out of here. I could even argue with you that he should never have been allowed to come into the country on a student visa or granted a permanent green card, or permanent visa as green cards are known. But he was. And if we want to figure out a legal reason to rescind that and to get him out of the country, that's altogether good and fine too. I'm just telling you that I'm in the free speech business. And I hesitate to contemplate a government that's powerful enough to shut me down based on the things that I'm saying or based on how others might perceive the things that I'm saying. Now, once again, if someone goes too far, so be it. The easy thing for me to do right now would be to go after Khalil and to agree with the Trump administration, to agree with the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Agency that arrested the guy. But I'm not here to arrest people because they say things that I disagree with. And you shouldn't be either. We'll get your calls on this. Marie and Denny will be first. 615-737-9986. It's the Matt Murphy Show, 21 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and when it comes to repairs to your home's foundation or waterproofing issues within your home, there's only one that you'll hear me recommend, and that one is USS. United Structural Systems has been trusted by loyal folks like you for the last 30 years, and these people are incredibly and 100% satisfied. They have almost 30,000 testimonials in that regard. I mean, folks just love USS. Why? Because they don't try to upsell you on things you don't need. They do what they promise they're going to do. They do it in a timely fashion. They do it as inexpensively as possible. They just get it done. Homeowners trust USS, and rightly so. They've been keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. So call them today at 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or go to USSTN.com. And when you do, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to USS.
Well, a global financial services company says the risk of America going into recession is increasing. This story and the day's closing money news coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A couple of updates on the Matt Murphy front. 25 after the hour, by the way. Super Talk 26 now after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Number one, many of you on the Super Text line are alerting me that Demetria Kaladimas, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, was a longtime Nashville television news anchor for Channel 4, in addition to a documentarian. So I learned something new from you today. Thank you so much for that. Number two, those of you on the Super Text line are alerting me that I, Matt Murphy, am a complete boob. I'm an idiot when it comes to this story involving this kid out of New York City, this young man in New York City. Many of you suggesting that, well, he is a green card holder, therefore he is a guest in the United States. Look, I'm not suggesting that I have these answers. I'm suggesting I'm asking questions. So, has Elon Musk received citizenship yet? I don't think he has. I think I'm right. I don't think Elon Musk is a citizen of the United States of America. Maybe I'm wrong. I know somebody's typing it up right now. That would be Mason.
That's me.
Oh, Ken Weaver's doing it too.
Sorry about that, boy.
Is Elon Musk a citizen of the United States of America? That's what I want to know. Has he received? Maybe he has. Maybe he has been sworn in as a citizen. I don't know. I just look. My point is that this is an easy pick. I do not like a government that has the ability to jail people or shut down speech based on the speech of those individuals. Now, if you are a green card holder, you are a guest of the country, I understand the distinction between that and a United States citizen. How far before you begin shutting down United States citizens doing the same? Once again, we win in the arena of ideas. You combat bad speech with more speech, more speech, more speech. Now, 8380 says this doesn't revolve around what he said. It revolves around what he did. Well, tell me what that is and be specific on that. And I imagine that it involves some of the prior organization of riots and rules against Columbia University. And I'm down for that, too. Once again, do not mistake my desire for a conversation about where the government's authority to shut down your speech begins and ends with the defense of this dude. I'm not defending any of this anti-Israel, pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas garbage. I don't defend any of it. Just like I don't defend when the fake Klan comes into Nashville and starts preaching anti-Jewish crap. Just like I don't defend any of this Muslim anti-Jewish crap. I don't defend any of that garbage. And there's way too much of it going around in way too many circles. But not defending something doesn't mean that I'm not willing to step up and defend their right to say things in a freedom-loving society. Because once we begin shutting down free speech, that is the beginning of the end of your liberties, friends. And we've got to warn against this. You've got to fight against this. Now, does it make a difference that he's a green card holder? Of course. But I will fight the principled point on this, that I'm in the free speech business, and when they begin shutting down aspects of free speech in America, I'm going to be the first one to go when a Democrat's in the White House. I promise you that. And Elon will too, unless he's a U.S. citizen already.
He is a U.S. citizen.
Well, there you go.
So he immigrated to the United States as a student in 1992. He obtained his citizenship in 2002.
Good for him. Way to go.
He's official.
Elon.
The right way.
Marie is on the road, wants to talk about green cards. Hey, Marie.
Hey, Marie. Hey, Matt, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
So there's a huge difference between having a green card and being a citizen of the United States. When you get your green card, you have to keep your political views, you have to keep your nose clean extensively. It's a very different thing that, like, I'm from Ireland, I'm a citizen now, which is fine, but I couldn't come in here to this country and start pontificating and agreeing with the IRA or any political actions that they do and get away with it. When you sit in front of that office or when you get your green card, they tell you exactly what you can do and what you can't do, and you have to keep your nose clean. He is definitely skirting a revoking of his green card and being kicked out of the country, as he should have been. He's going way beyond getting a couple of tickets, but he's masquerading and came into this country under false pretense.
I understand that we've got a good amount of imported and homegrown anti-Semitism and pro-terrorist activity going on in America. And I fully support figuring out a way to root that out of our country in a legal fashion. My concern is that we're walking down a road that will not stop with green card holders when it comes to unpopular or undesirable speech.
But the reason they're going after him is because he has a green card, and we have a little...
No, the reason they're going after him is because he's organized these protests at Columbia, not because he has a green card. I mean, the green card is the way. That's the vehicle.
Well, the green card is he thinks he's protected with the green card, but the green card does not give you protections like a U.S. citizen. You're under the jurisdiction of the INS, Bill.
So once again, let me just, and I understand the distinction you're talking about, but just work with me for just a second, Marie. So you're saying that a U.S. citizen could say the exact same things that this person did, and they would be fully compliant with the law?
Yes.
And because
you're under protection of freedom of speech. As a green card holder or a visa holder, no matter what the visa is, no matter what restrictions or how you got your green card, you are still not.
I'm going to be curious to see what the legal system says about that.
Yeah, but you're still not protected. You could be kicked out for the smallest of things, even if you have a green card.
Once again, I'm going to be curious to see if we're talking about if we're talking about speech. I'm going to be curious to see what the legal system. I understand where you're coming from, Marie, and you could very well be right. But I do not pretend that I've read the law regarding green cards enough to know whether or not free speech is protected under permanent green card status. We got to get to the news right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Got a big problem in Sumner County, drivers. 65 northbound is closed between exit 104 and 108. This is due to a vehicle fire. We'll get you another update here in 5 minutes. A federal judge in New York City blocking deportation of the organizer of pro-Palestine rallies at Columbia University. Mahmoud Khalil has a green card. ICE arrested him. Trump posting to Truth Social that his arrest is the first of many to come as part of a crackdown on anti-Semitism. Here in Tennessee, News 2 says Williamson County commissioners will decide tonight whether to support a bill moving through Tennessee's legislature which would ban adding fluoride in public water supplies statewide. And a bill has been brought back for discussion in the General Assembly that renames Nashville International Airport after President Trump. Money news, here's Michelle Franzen.
U.S. stocks tumbled to their worst day in years Monday, mainly over fears of a trade war over President Trump's tariff threats. The Dow dropped 890 points. The S&P lost 156. The Nasdaq fell 4%, shedding 728 points. The Canadian province of Ontario is confronting Trump's trade war head-on, slapping a 25% tariff on electricity that is shipped to 1.5 million Americans in Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. It's estimated the additional cost to affected households is about $69 a month. Global financial services company Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi tells ABC News that the U.S. recession risk has gone up from 15% at the start of the year to now 35%. Zandi is citing tariff wars, haphazard DOGE cuts to government jobs and funding, and uncertainty over a possible government shutdown.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, northbound 65, part of it is shut down in Sumner County, about a 4-mile stretch. It's going to be from exit 108 to exit 104 because of a vehicle fire. We've got a crash blocking the left shoulder 65 southbound at I-24 downtown and also on the South Loop. Right lane on-ramp blocked, 40 eastbound from northbound 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you want to feel better and look better, I have the way to do it, especially if you have thinning hair. Friends, We Grow Hair has been in Nashville for almost 30 years now, and they have proven solutions that simply work. They are controlled by PAI Medical, and they are the We Grow Hair people. WeGrowHair.com can give you all of the details and all of the information, but let me give you the rundown. No one else in Tennessee has the ARTIS robotic FUE procedure, the multi-unit hair grafting transplant procedure, both guaranteed results. Secondly, I did the 45-minute laser and PRP treatment for men and for ladies, but I did it, and I'm telling you, it works. I was a little bit concerned about thinning in the back of my hair. Not so much anymore. Call them right now at 615-376-6010. That's 615-376-6010. This is the year that you can look better, you can feel better about yourself, you can get the PRP treatment or the ARTIS robotic FUE treatment. Your confidence and self-esteem will go through the roof. Thank you to We Grow Hair. Go to WeGrowHair.com or call 615-376-6010. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's see. I have how a green card can be revoked. Couple of reasons: committing fraud or misrepresentation during the application process, committing crimes like aggravated felonies, crimes against moral turpitude, or drug-related offenses. You know, like not traffic violations and whatnot. I assume encouraging or supporting a riot would be included in that. Now, if this dude is accused of activities that would involve rioting or inciting to riot, obviously kick him out of here. I don't have a problem kicking him out anyway. My point is simple. Do you believe in a government that can prevent individual students, American citizens, or is this just a matter of, hey, they're not from here, we can boot them out? If that's the case, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, we have rules that are set down as to how green cards are allowed and what is allowed and what's not allowed, what you can do and what you cannot do. You don't set all of your human rights or even all of the constitutional rights afforded individuals legally in the United States of America aside. If you're legally here, you have certain constitutional rights. The Constitution applies to legal residents that are not citizens. And the Supreme Court has decided on that on multiple occasions. It does not mean that you are afforded all of the constitutional liberties that citizens are provided. But if through the laws of Congress you are allowed into the United States of America legally, then you are afforded certain rights unless you violate those rights or violate the laws of this country and therefore suspend your rights. I do not believe in a country that is big enough to shut down speech that it disagrees with. And if we begin doing that, I think we cease to be the country we want to be. Now, that is for citizens of this country, obviously. AJ has an outlook on it. AJ, thank you for your call. How are you?
You're welcome, and thanks for taking my call. All right, so you kind of laid out my argument for me a little bit there. So a green card or visa is us inviting you to be here. It is us saying you may be here, but I think the error that you might be making that's an I statement, is that you're looking at deportation as punishment. It's not punishment. It's an administrative action. It is me just saying, you're not welcome here anymore. We're not going to throw you in jail for protected speech. And he very well may have been engaged in protected speech. He may have encouraged a riot. It doesn't matter, because it is not a punishment to kick you out of the country, just like it's not a punishment to kick somebody out of my house.
So do you believe that America has the legal ability, our government has the legal ability to right now remove every permanent resident holder out of the country for no reason whatsoever?
No, not for no reason. There's reason here.
But what we're arguing then is whether or not the actions of this individual on the campus
broke the contract.
Are you done? I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, did it?
I didn't want to interrupt you interrupting me, but
I'm sorry.
Yes. So the argument is then, did that person, and I have the ways that you so if we agree that the permanent resident card is somewhat of a contract between the individual applying for residency and the United States of America, and that we have set down the rules the expectations that you are expected to follow, right? So yeah. And whether he did or did not, that frankly is the major question. I'm concerned with the justification that the government has thus far given, and that justification involves his position regarding Hamas.
But I think aid and cover to Hamas is one of those things, because they're designated as a terrorist organization.
That's certainly a reasonable position, and one that I could perhaps be persuaded to.
Because I was reading up on this myself, and he's like, they're hitting it with aid and comfort to Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, and that'll do it.
Yeah, so, if green card holders violate the conditions of their status, then they can be removed. And if it is determined that, and perhaps that is what is to be adjudicated in front of a court. And in that arena, I would agree that he would be looked at differently than would a United States citizen.
And I don't know if it has the same burden of proof, because they're not trying to lock him up, just send him away. So it's not a criminal action, it's administrative
That's
action.
fair. Yeah, that's a fair position. Yeah. Well, I like it.
Okay.
I like it, AJ.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. Right. So if you determine that his actions led to aid and comfort of Hamas in some fashion, I don't know that that's not a strat. I don't want to get it. AJ makes the good point, and I just want to leave him with his good point. I don't know that if he's engaged in on-campus organization, could that be considered aid and comfort? Sure. Would he be looked at as the citizens on that campus that engaged in the same activity in the same fashion? No, not necessarily, because, right, as AJ points out. So I'm not against that argument. I don't like a government that suggests that they can take action against individuals based on their political speech. Patrick brings up another excellent point, and my point in bringing this up is that it's more nuanced than kick them all out. I know it's my knee-jerk reaction to say, well, kick them all the hell out of here, get them the hell out. Did he cause any harm or threat to Jewish students, which would be a violation of his status as a permanent legal resident as well. I believe that we have been far too permissive in the manner in which we allow these permanent resident cards to be issued. I think we've been far too permissive in the manner in which we've allowed student visas to be issued. And I think there needs to be a strong look at sharpening up the standards by which we allow people to come into the United States of America legally. That's always been a point that I think we need to make after we eliminate the illegal alien activity that's going on at our southern border and clean up some of the criminal activity that's happening right here in the United States. So, but that barn door is wide open right now. And those that are already here have to be dealt with one-on-one. I don't think you can pull that back en masse. 615-737-9986. 7997 says, you don't know, but you will when it is revealed. Never assume he's innocent. He is not Mother Teresa. Well, no, I mean, but in America, I mean, the court of public opinion can certainly lay down the law as to how we think about this guy, and the court of public opinion will. I don't think he's a very good person, and I don't think he likes the United States of America very much, and I want to get him out of the country as best we can. But I want to do so in a legal fashion. And I don't necessarily think that it is legal to take him out of this country based on things that he says that seem to support Hamas. Aid and comfort to the enemy is something different than offering, oh, I think Hamas is right and the Israelis are wrong. The Palestinians are right and the Jews are wrong. Two different things in my estimation, but, you know, these are opinions, and opinions are like elbows. Everybody's got one or two. Let's talk to Billy, who is next in Shelbyville. Hello, Billy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, Billy. You sound excited.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I'm headed into work.
Oh, man, that's no fun in that.
Well, I just wanted to say free speech is what holds us together as a nation, but once you start delving into ideas of, you know, sympathizing with terrorist organizations, that's where you lose me.
Even if it's an American?
Absolutely. We've jailed actually many people in the past, especially during the Obama administration, about things like this in regards to ISIS. I remember growing up watching the news, and so-and-so would be arrested for having an ISIS flag or something, you know, going down Broadway or whatever. But once you start expressing views that sympathize with terrorist organizations, you lose me there.
Would you consider, for example, Nazis to be a terrorist organization? See, it's all about your definition of terrorist, right, or terrorist organization.
Right.
I mean, there are some in the United States of America that would consider supporters of the Confederacy to be supporters of a terrorist organization. Therefore, there are some, not me, but I'm just throwing it out there for thought. There are some that would say that, you know, the Sons of the Confederacy support a Confederate organization, which by extension would be supporting a terrorist organization because they enslaved human beings.
You make a valid point.
But no, I love the way you're thinking, Billy. I mean, I understand that when we think about this, it's easy to demonize the easily demonizable, right? This person is disgusting. It's obvious that this person, Khalid or whatever the hell his name is, he doesn't love the United States of America. He does not appreciate our values. It's obvious that he has been sucking from a system that allowed him to do that. My suggestion is we need to clean that system up now. But don't do it at the sacrifice of freedom of speech. Did I put Billy on hold by accident? Checking. No? Oh, is that another Billy? Oh, there's a second Billy. Two Billys. Okay, Nathan and Billy, I'll get you in a minute. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN 10 till the top. Hello, friends. Dr. Poss and the Sleep Apnea and TNJ Solution Center added last year Dr. Brian McLaughlin to the team, and they have doubled their ability to help you when it comes to sleep apnea or your TMJ. Here's the deal, folks. If you've got sleep apnea, you know it. You probably aren't getting the sleep that you want. You're probably waking up in the night. Maybe you're snoring a bit. Maybe your partner understands it. If that is the case, that can be a health concern as well as an inconvenience. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's get an FDA-approved device that gently supports your jaw, helping you breathe better, helping you snore less, without any mask, without any hose. That's what they do at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Dr. Poss and Dr. McLaughlin want to see you. They're in network for most insurance companies in the state of Tennessee, and I think that they can help you, especially if you know that you're not getting restful night's sleep. 2 locations, one in Brentwood, the other in Murfreesboro. Start the journey at drposs.com. That's drposs.com. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Dr. Poss and Dr. McLaughlin and the TMJ Solution Center. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest is the one-stop shop for all things pest control in your home, and I invite you to give them a call. It's time, right? I mean, that season is upon us. With U.S. Pest, they understand that bug season means that they're making more little bugs, and they're making more little rodents, and they want inside of your home, whether it's spiders or stink bugs, ants, ladybugs, mice, silverfish, roaches, and more. They can protect you with 100% guaranteed service with their full-service pest control. Secondarily, termite protection is available as well. Every home in the state of Tennessee is threatened by termites, and you need protection through U.S. Pest. Crawl space service available as well. The purpose of pest control is simple: to eliminate the ick factor of the bugs and to prevent the insect or rodent-borne diseases that they bring with them. Protect your property, protect your family with the one and only U.S. Pest. Call J.K. and Erica Brister or the rest of the team at U.S. Pest today, 590-1260. That's 590-1260 for U.S. Pest. .0404 says laws are for our citizens of the United States of America. The Supreme Court disagrees with you. I don't know what to tell you. Argue with them. Permanent residents are required to obey all laws. They're required to pay taxes, and they are not afforded all of the same constitutional rights as a citizen of the United States, but they're not allowed to vote, which is the easiest example. That is reserved for U.S. citizens alone. But they enjoy a lot of constitutional rights as legal residents of the United States of America. And I'm not saying that this dude didn't do something to violate them. Once again, my defense is not for this guy. My defense is for the First Amendment of the Constitution and our ability to speak against our country if we feel like our country's going down the wrong path, which is something I did for the last 4 years. And I don't want Joe Biden or one of his minions coming to my door and knocking me off the radio or telling me I've got to go somewhere. And once again, I understand the distinction between the U.S. citizen and the lawful resident. And if he is in violation of his resident status, get him out of here. That's fine with me, too. And simultaneously, let's start the process of determining whether or not we're being way too open door with regard to legal people in the country. Nathan is in Franklin. Nathan, thank you for your call. How are you?
I'm good. I enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm on the same page as you 100%. I'm a small L libertarian as well. The only question I would have for people who think this is a good idea is if you have an Israeli in this country who's a legal green card holder, and we have a lib president running the country, and they don't like Israel, can they deport the legal green card Israeli from the country simply for saying things that they don't like? And free speech is something that's, in my view, is unlimited. And you have to have an extremely high bar, to limit that. And
my bar is for me, Nathan, is this a direct threat to the health and safety of the people of this country?
And no, hurty words are not a direct threat. And from my perspective, a gentleman called earlier and said this isn't punishment. Well, then what else is it? This guy wants to be here, and I'm not defending him. I think he's a moron. I voted for Trump. I'm a conservative, libertarian thinking guy. But it's just as easy. The pendulum swings, right? And right now the pendulum has swung in our direction, and that's great. And we're getting a lot of stuff that we like. But it's going to swing back, and it's going to swing back in the other direction. And if we like this limitation of speech, we're going to have to learn to like it when it's us on the receiving end, right? And so I do not like this, and I don't agree with it. And I'm not defending the guy, and there's probably some legal gray area here, but to me it's unnecessary. I don't understand what this accomplishes. He's making a fool of himself. Let him continue to make a fool of himself by saying stupid stuff.
Well, and there are ways to crack down on the campuses of some of these public universities that are being way too permissive in terms of their allowance to threaten the Jewish students and that sort of thing. Billy, I am sorry I won't be able to get to you. I ran a little bit long with Nathan there. I appreciate your call, though. We are simply out of time. It's an interesting conversation. I hope it gives you a little food for thought over the dinner table tonight. It's 7 o'clock. It's time for Mark Levin. I'll be back tomorrow at 3. Until then, Have a great evening. So long, everybody.